Hello. Hello, hello, hello. Let's see. Howdy. Okay, cool. Whoa. Suddenly a million people. Hi, guys. Oh my god. I did not think this many people would be here. Oh my god. Hi, everybody. Hold on, let me. I've never done this before, so bear with me. I'm gonna post this on socials. Nice. All right. Hi, guys. Oh my god, there's so many of you. I was not prepared. Also, I look not great either. Hi, hi, hi. What a week. Oh my god. Yeah, Twice City. Y'all know, y'all know. But yeah, I just wanted to come on and just like chat with you guys. I feel like I've been getting like a lot of questions recently just about everything. Whether it be on Twitter or Tumblr or anywhere. And it's hard to keep up with it all and type it all out and everything. So I figured it'd be fun to just like, I don't know, just have like a chill conversation where you guys can ask questions here and I can just more readily kind of answer questions. Um, but yeah, first, I guess I just wanted to say thank you guys for all the support on the pilot. I did not think it would blow up the way it did at all. Um, I mentioned it before, but like it was truly just going to be like a storyboarding portfolio piece for me. I had I was directing on Big City Greens for the past 3 years, 3.5 years, something like that. And for this current season, I went back to storyboarding, just because like I miss drawing so much and just like those broader strokes, and just having fun. And for my hiatus before I went back, I wanted to make sure like I could still make something from nothing. Because with directing, it was very much like, oh, I get my board artist boards and kind of edit it down usually to make it production ready and make writing tweaks as needed. But then for storyboarding, it is like you get the script, you get the outline, and then you just go crazy. And I miss that like a lot. So I wanted to make sure that I could still do it in an effective way. And also, I don't have a portfolio. I've never had a portfolio, and it felt like a good idea to, um, yeah, do a board that was very like unapologetically me and had all my sensibilities, writing, comedy, drawing. Um, I just feel like it would stand the test of time a little bit more than like if I were to use like a Big City Greens board as a portfolio because some of you might not know animation takes a long ass time. So by the time like an episode airs, like about a year and a half from when like I originally boarded it, I'm already like, oh, I don't want anybody to see these drawings. So I felt like yeah, doing my own thing would make more sense in that it's like, oh, it's mine. At least like even if I don't like the drawings later on, like the writing, I think will still stay true to like who I am. And yeah, So it was just gonna be, it really was just gonna be a portfolio piece, and like just for me to post like as a PDF somewhere, just like as a board sample if I ever was looking for work or was out of a job. Luckily, Big City Grease is very stable, so I'm very lucky and appreciative of that show and that crew. But yeah, you never know. Animation industry is crazy right now. So I was like, I should probably have a portfolio. And yeah, it was just gonna be that. But then my editor kind of was like, "Hey, if you want to make it an animatic, we could do that." And I was like, "Oh, that would be fun." And then I can like still use it as like make the board, but then also use it as like a directing sample also, to be like, "Oh, I can direct an editor and yeah, self direct, I guess." And then when it was like, "Oh, well, let's make it animatic," so like I don't want to do scratch. Like I don't want it to be my voice the whole way through for all the characters. So it just kind of turned into like, oh well, I'll just reach out to my voice actor friends and see if they would be down. Um, and yeah, all of them were down, sure enough, which was really cool, and I'm super appreciative of them. And then yeah, it just kind of kept spiraling from there, and I was like, I guess we could just yeah, like let's just make this a thing. Um, and like all the animation, Matthew Haynes and Mariah Marshall helped out with the detransformation and that Toon Boom sequence. Like so much just volunteer work and people just creating for the sake of creating, which I think is wonderful and much needed right now. And yeah, even though it started off as a very simple like yeah portfolio piece project, like whatever for me, like personal thing, I'm glad like the heart that everybody else kind of put into it came through, and people enjoyed it and are like um yeah, having it like resonate with people. Like that wasn't the plan. It wasn't in the cards initially. So it makes me really happy that it worked out that way. Yeah, thank you guys. So that's kind of my spiel on like the origins of this project and why I made it. And also, like, I was kind of explaining on Tumblr a little bit that like it blew up in a way that I wasn't expecting. But and then it's kind of like it's a little frustrating that people are like, oh god, what is this, like subverting the genre, like oh it's been overdone. I literally did not have the foresight about any of that. It was truly just me, like again just doing my thing. I wasn't planning on it being anything or trying to make a statement or anything like that. So I hope people know that like I don't know, initially it wasn't supposed to be as like serious as it is, or like I'm trying to like say something about the magical girl genre or anything. I'm just like, guys, please, like I promise. Like if I do make this like anything, I will put like the love and the care that it deserves and respect the genre, like which I do. I love magical girl stuff, which is why I even did this in the first place. But yeah, it's just very funny. But yeah, I can start answering questions if you guys have any, whether it's production stuff, how I did it, like inspiration behind things, character stuff. I guess like there's some things I'm gonna try like avoid talking about, uh, like regarding the pilot at least. When it comes to like spoilers and things, like I was like after the pilot, I was just gonna like tell everybody everything just because again I wasn't gonna do anything with it. But now it's kind of like, oh, there's studio interests, and the studios are pretty big, which is very exciting. And I'm gonna be in talks with them for like the next few weeks. I'm getting talking to representation and lawyers and stuff like that. So yeah, if it goes that direction, then I would want to make sure spoilers are under locks and not talked about. But yeah, we'll see. I'll get the story out some way or another, whether it's just like if it doesn't go anywhere, I'll just drop everything, like either in like a giant text post about like all the ideas I was gonna do, or in like little comics like I've been doing, or if does get made a show, you'll see it as a show, which would also be really cool. But yeah, let me look at your guys's comments real quick. Do you know Danny Mata? Yes, I saw his reaction. I didn't know about him prior, but yeah, the video is really funny. I've been very honored to see um, people reacting to the pilot, and yeah, generally, again, very positive reaction, which I wasn't expecting because it's so like specific to me. um, but yeah, super cool. I was surprised to see, yeah, bigger YouTubers like really taking notice of it. Um, what animation software do you use? I don't really use animation software per se, but I did the whole pilot in Storyboard Pro by Toon Boom. I love your Oddish beanie. Thank you. My brother got it because he's a Pokemon like influencer, I guess. Like he's a Pokemon partner, so he gets stuff from them all the time. And he gave me this beanie because I worked on the Pokemon Path to the Peak TCG like short that came out a year ago. Year has it been 2 years? I think it's been a year. But like Oddish was kind of like the main Pokemon in that one. So when I saw the beanie, I was like, Oddish, and then he gave it to me. It was really nice. Is I Don't Want to Be a Magical Girl something that you will also bring to major studios as a passion project, or are you just doing it for studio interest? I'm not fully sure what you mean by that. I mean, it is a passion project. It started off as one, or I guess it started off as practice, but then turned into a passion project as I went. I wasn't initially going to pitch it anywhere, but now that studios are kind of coming to me asking about it, it's like, okay, I guess I should, and we'll try just to see where it goes. But yeah. Is it okay to make short meme animations of characters from your show with credit? Of course. A ton of people have been doing that already on TikTok, and they're so funny to come by. Yeah, it makes me really happy to see that people are engaging with the characters in that way, and they make me laugh. Why did the lead pipe section only get animated? Because it's funny as heck. Again, this was just going to be a board. I did not plan on having any animation, but the wonderful Matthew Haynes, who has been in the industry for like 15 years now, as like a lead animator, as a retakes animator, as a regular animator, had been following the project, and he reached out to me. Just Instagram was like, "Hey, are you making this a thing?" I was like, "Oh yeah, I was just doing like animatic for fun. Don't know what to do with it yet." And he was like, "Oh cool. Well, if you want like any animation, like let me know. I would love to work on this." I was like, "Oh my god, yeah! Like if you're offering." Um, so then I sent him the board as it was, and then he kind of, yeah, just like watched it. He really liked it and gave me some scenes that he was interested in animating. I think there's like he gave me like 3 or 4. One of them was like the part where like Aika poofs into uh her magical persona. The other, like, and then next was the beatdown, obviously, and then I think the scene after that where she's like twirling it and then it like lands on Eclipse. Um, those were the ones he was kind of eyeing, and I was like, well, I mean, the beatdown would be so funny. Like, it's pretty much the climax of the whole thing, so like it made sense for it to be that part. Um, and I feel like if it was any other like random scene, it would have been weird for it to just like be in color for like a second. This was like the longest like section that he would do, and then also like, yeah, the climax, and it just felt like it was the kind of thing that could be heightened by animation. So yeah, he built the rigs and everything in like record time. He was so fast. Like this guy was working like a job and like a half, or like 2 jobs at the time. So he was just doing this in his free time, which again, so grateful for that he, yeah, gave me his time and his talents to make something so funny that's probably arguably the funniest part of the pilot. Um, but yeah, that's the reason that only that part is animated. Like none of it was going to be initially. But because of Matthew, we have this fun little proof of concept animation, which is really cool. Do you want to be a magical girl? No, that seems like so much work and so much pressure. I like being a very low key person and going under the radar. Magical girl stuff seems like just a little too much for me. Favorite Pokemon? My favorite Pokemon is I go between Stuffle and Alolan Marowak. They're both so cute. How long has Aika been a magical girl? I did like a drawing of that before, like a little then and now. She was 13 when she started and is currently 15. So she's been at it for 2 years, which doesn't seem like a lot of time, but it actually, I feel like when I was a high schooler, like a year or like 2 years just felt like so long, and just like so much because it is like, if you look at it in the grand scheme of things, like when you're that young, it is like, oh, this is so much of my life, you know? Now 2 years is nothing. As I'm like approaching 30, I'm kind of like, what's 2 years? But I remember as a kid being like, oh, everything's so long, time moves so slow, and like, just a year, I just felt like was just, there's just so much packed into a year. And I'm sure like Aika feels the same. What was it like working with each of the VAs? Oh my god, dream come true, for real. Like Anaris, amazing. She's our Aika. She's known for Mirko in My Hero Academia. She's also Iris in Pokemon Journeys. Uh, Absolutely fantastic human being. I had like a big list of like who I wanted for like Aika when I was first drafting up the idea. More as like voice claims, like, oh, if I ever did make this something, this is who I would want to get. Um, and she was one of the people on the list. And me and AJ, her fiance, have like AJ Beckles. I'm sure you guys know him. He's the voice of Okarun in Dendaden. Amazing human being. We kind of worked together on Pokemon Path to the Peak. He was Joshua. He was one of the main characters in that short. So we like got to know each other during that, and he's been super supportive of the project. And then we'd just been talking about like voice actor stuff, and I told him, yeah, like I'm thinking about doing an animatic, and if I get people, I was thinking like a Neris, and then he's like, oh my god, yeah, like if you need to reach out, like let me know. So he gave me like her email and everything and how to contact her, and we started working together. Yeah, asked for her rates and everything, and yeah, she was delightful. Um, Super funny, like a lot of good like little ad libs, like the part where Zira asks Aika like, "Oh, magical love interest," and then she's like, "Ew, no." In the script, it was originally just "ew, no," but then she added like a just threw up in my mouth a little bit. That was just like her like riffing. I was like, "Oh, that's so cute," so I kept it in. Lots of little stuff like that. Yeah, absolutely delightful human being. She also helped me with the little plushie makeshift plushie commercial. And yeah, no, she's great. We got to hang out. Like before we even recorded, I was actually in San Francisco while she was at Anime Impulse, so I got to meet her like in person before we even did like the recording session, like the following week, I think. Yeah, super nice, and we got to hang out during our little premiere party that we did last week. And I'm gonna hang out with her and AJ again on Tuesday, which I'm really excited for because they're the best. They were so nice and super supportive of the project, and yeah, I adore them. And then Bennett, I've been a fan of Bennett's work for a long time. Like some of you were here for the Danganronpa phase, so I'm a big Toko fan, and that was like Zira's design and trope is kind of just like fully based on Toko. Like it's not really that subtle. Um, so like of course when I was thinking of voice claims, I was like, oh well, she'd probably sound like Toko. Um, and Bennett was somebody I didn't know prior, like personally prior to this project. But my friend Mariev, who voices Tilly, and also Sydney the Kidney Girl, and also the voice director on this project, had the same manager as as her. She's like, oh, we can make this work. Let me pull some strings. So I was able to get yeah, Miss Benita Barra, and she was so good. I talked about her a little bit, like I don't know how many of you saw, but I uploaded like her outtakes today from the pilot, and yeah, I mentioned that like she was really engaged the whole time and like asking really good questions. It was so cool. I mean, like all of them did, but like I feel like Bennett especially was like very good at being like, oh, like what's the vibe you're going for? Like do a take and then be like, was that good? Should I like split the difference between like this voice and this voice? Just yeah, amazing. Super easy to work with, like very much like a professional voice actor. Like you could tell she's been at this for a while. An amazing improviser also. Like most of her improv kind of stayed in because it was so funny, maybe crack up. Um, and then Christine Marie Cabanos, who I also didn't know prior to this, and Mary have helped me get in touch with through agents and Atlas Talent. She such a sweetheart, so nice. And I got to hang out with her like also last week. Yeah, absolute angel. Like I don't know what else to say. She was so funny. Her voice is like so unique and like brings such like a specific charm to just like any character she does, but like also Hoshi. Like Hoshi was kind of like a tricky one for me to land on because I was debating whether I wanted to go for like more silly, like masculine voice, like typical, like annoying side character, but I was like, I don't know about that. But then my friend Eric Brown, who did the ending song music and also the little animation at the end, he showed me Madoka for the first time, which like I was like it was my first time watching it while I was kind of working on the project. And yeah, listening to Christine was like, oh, this like I know her, like I've known her. It made me think about like her other work from like Danganronpa and like pretty much everything else that she's been in. The Squid Girl one. And I was like, oh, this voice is so good, and she can like yeah pitch it up or down as needed. And I was like, oh, this would be great if we could get her. And also just the irony of getting Madoka to be the the mascot. Also, if you know, you know. Um, but yeah, she was delightful, super nice. She was one of the few people that we got to record like in person. Like we actually went to a studio to record her instead of like over Zoom. So that was like also a really fun experience. But yeah, delightful. Hoshi didn't have too much in this pilot like to say, but she has one of arguably the funniest lines in my opinion. But yeah, absolutely amazing person. I love hanging out with her, and I hope we get to work together in the future. Um, and then who did I record next? Those were my main three. And then Alex was next. He, I had to direct on my own. Mary Ev Harrington was there helping me voice direct for my mains. So like Ike and Hoshi. So I had to direct Alex on my like I had to direct Alex by myself, which was like kind of scary because I'm like, oh, this guy's like good. He's like a legend. Like we known each other like on the internet. Like we've been mutuals for like a long time, and I've done prints for him before. Um, but yeah, I've never like voice directed, period, and voice directed. Yeah, such a professional at all ever. So I was like, okay, I gotta be on it. But he made it so fun. Like he's like very good at like riffing and yeah, just like keeping the energy up and just throwing out ideas and like super open to doing multiple takes. His improv was also crazy. I'm excited to post his outtakes. Like it's pretty much just gonna be the whole recording because it was so funny. Just like the variety was insane. But yeah, absolutely fantastic. I would love to work with him again. Yeah, go support like everything he's doing. He's in so many things, like the most booked and busy man alive, genuinely. And like yeah, even like because of that, like I'm so thankful that he made time to work on my silly little project. Um, then after that, Michelle Knotts, who is Miss. Most of you would know her as Jessie's voice actress. Like, I had to get her. We've been friends since 2020. I've been on her stream a few times. I've done prints for her as well. We always have like vent sessions to each other, just like messaging each other whenever stuff happens. But she's an angel, so nice, very supportive of like me and my projects. Um, she has such like mom energy in like the best way. She's always checking in on me and like my girlfriend, being like, "Oh, how are you and your girlfriend? How's Millie? Like, did you guys get to like visit each other? Like, how was your Valentine's? Like stuff like that." She's an angel, and she's like, for those of you who don't know, I used to do a lot of. I mean, I guess I haven't in a while, but like Jessie and Delia comics and like a lot of rocket shipping and just Team Rocket fan art in general, which I do want to get back to at some point. I miss drawing those guys, but she's always like offered to like voice the comics and stuff for me. But I know like Pokemon's kind of like, so I didn't want to get her in trouble. So it was really nice that I was able to get her for like an original project, which was like arguably like way more special. So yeah, thank you, Michelle. Love you, Michelle. Then who's next? Shara Kirby, who yeah, I've known for like a while. We've been mutuals for a long time. We've met each other at uh, one of like our mutual friends' birthday party, and then we hung out also at Sarah Natacheni's like Pokemon finale party. Yeah, she's fantastic, so good. Devoid wasn't in the pilot so much, but like God, I wish like I said this at our premiere party, but I like wish anybody was there in the recording session for that, because I was like to her telling her like, oh yeah, we can like, since it's only a couple lines, we can like really take our time and like find the voice and like figure out like exactly how we want her to sound. But like, yeah, let's just like mess around, throw out some lines, like, or just do like a few line reads. Literally, I think like the take that's in the pilot is the first one she did. So I was like, oh, wow. Okay, what do we do now? Because it was just kind of perfect on the first go. Um, and yeah, I like would love to work with her again and do more Devoid in the future. It was really funny. Like in that session, I was kind of like, oh, do I like try to just write more lines for her on the spot so I could just like get more? But no, she's fantastic, amazing. Um, yeah, I think that's pretty much it. I mentioned Mariev before. She's also Sydney the Kinney girl, but she was largely, like mostly on this project to be the voice director and help me voice direct. Yeah, you would know Mariev as Tilly from Big City Greens. And I'm assuming some of you at least are like Danganronpa fans, but she's also Celestia Lutenberg, fucking icon. And she's also Honoka from Love Live, the original one. Yeah, she's amazing, super helpful, amazing human being. She does her own like short films a lot of the time, so she had like a lot of really good advice when it came to producing your own indie pilot and stuff like that. Yeah, let me go back. I'm trying to look. And more questions. What would you say is the most important story element that you kept in your head during the writing process? Story element. I mean, there wasn't anything in particular. It was just like, I just want to have fun with this. I'm going to make something that's, yeah, just silly and has like just girls being girls. And yeah, I don't know. Like again, it was supposed to be like a nothing project, so I didn't have anything like big in mind. It was just supposed to be a fun, chill watch, a fun, chill boarding process for me. But I guess like the North Star, so to speak, of the project is just like, I mean, the thesis of the show is like learning to love something like learning to re-love something you were once passionate about. It's based off of my experience working in the animation industry, like growing up being like, oh, I'm gonna be an artist someday, I'm gonna like make this my career, like I want to draw for a living, um, and then getting there, and then like I mean I loved it when I first started. I truly did. I like put so much love and time and effort into being a good board artist, and like I did, but then there's like outside factors, just like the industry kind of crumbling a little bit, and yeah, learning how the sausage is made, like the magic kind of dies a little bit naturally, like once it's your job. And there was like a point in time where I was definitely a little bit more cynical about it and wasn't having as much fun, and would just like I would do my best work, but it wasn't like in the same way that it was before. Like I would do it like very by the book, very efficiently, like um, like not necessarily shortcuts, but like my heart wasn't in it as much, and yeah, it's not a good feeling. It kind of like it makes you like it gets to you a little bit. It's like not a way to live. But then like over time I kind of like through my friends and like through other people, like the lens of like people outside, like my like little cousins or whatever, being like, oh, you work on Big City Greens, that's my favorite show, like I love the characters, I love cricket, and just kind of like seeing it through their eyes and like kind of readjusting my view of my job of like, oh yeah, like just like reminding myself like, oh, this is why I do what I do. This is like a really cool job that I like blessed to be able to do, like drawing like every day, and like being creative and writing is yeah, so special, and that's something that a lot of like everybody gets to do. Um so it was like a nice reminder, yeah, like through them to kind of realize like I or like to remind me why I loved my job. And I want that to kind of be the takeaway from like if this were like to be a full series. Yeah, like a similar theme of like, yeah, Aika used to love being a magical girl. Then when she got there, she realized it's not all it's cracked up to be. And yeah, hopefully like through whether it be like Hoshi or through Zira, like kind of learn to love the thing that she used to. Um, in the past. And that's kind of where I see the story going, or like, yeah, either doing a spin on it where like, oh, like it, the intrigue being like, oh, does she learn to love her job again? Like, when do you know, like, when to quit? When is it not worth it anymore? Like, how do you know if it's something you really want to do? Because like I'm talking about like my current kind of experience and how I came around on it. But there was a point where I did like is in college where I almost thought about quitting art altogether, just because like I didn't think I could get anywhere with it, or it's just like I was doubting my talents. So it's yeah, I feel like it's a concept that can really be ex- expanded upon, and like something that it's like not a super uncommon magical girl like I don't want to say trope. It's because it's not a trope. It's like a I guess like theme. It's a common theme in a lot of magical girl stuff and superhero stuff. It's like the refusal to the call, um, and like, oh, how badly does this hero want to do this? And I've always loved that theme because it's so real, and like true to like I think a lot of people's experiences. And like even though this is like a like kind of subversion of like the genre, it is also like it's kind of baked into the genre already. I just wanted to come at it from that specific angle of like the work life balance, and yeah, have a character that like truly like has lived that life already and is unsure if she wants to do it anymore, and like her journey to find out if it's something she wants to continue to do, or if she'll come around to it again eventually. But yeah, that's kind of the thesis of the whole show, the whole thing. But yeah, that was kind of the guiding point of the whole premise, basically. Um, Let me see. Ooh, lots of questions. If you haven't answered this question since I just joined stream, who's your favorite character from Pretty Pretty Please? I don't want to be a magical girl. Oh, it's so hard to say. They're all my babies now, which is crazy to say because like I feel like I've made a decent amount of OCs over the years, and like none of them stuck. Um, this is like my first time doing something original where I'm like, oh, I really like the characters that I've made and like what I want and like the idea of what I want to do with them. Um, and yeah, I don't know. It's hard to say which one's my favorite. I mean, like when they're your OCs, it's kind of like, oh well, I'm gonna make them exactly how I want them and make them tropes or give them characteristics that I really like in other characters. So they're all characters that I genuinely enjoy. Like I love a happy sunshine girl, and I also love characters who are over it. So that's just kind of Aika, truly. So it's like two tropes that I really like in one. And then I love just yeah, bespectacled characters with the braids that are kind of nerds that are also like kind of like off-putting and like standoffish, a little bit rude. um, and that's Zira. And I love um, flamboyant little gay guys. uh, Kind of like like James Team Rocket. Like that's kind of what Eclipse ended up being. And then um, I love a mommy character, and that's kind of like Miss and um, Devoid are kind of that. Like somebody left a comment somewhere, I forget where it was, that said like, "Wow, bold of you to split up Jesse into two different characters and ship them with each other." Which I like. I kind of ship them together. Like I don't want to get people's hopes up with them. Like I don't even know if they would like meet honestly, like in the show, if I were to make more. But I just thought that was really funny. I was like, yeah, I guess I did kind of like take like two aspects of Jessie that I really like her more down to earth, like earnest version, and then also like I feel like the front that she kind of puts up of being like very domineering and like oh femme fatale, but she's not. She's like a girl failure. But I guess Devoid kind of presents as like the um, that version of her. So yeah, truly hard to say. I made them for me to like them, so it's hard to choose which is my favorite. But I think initially the one I did have the most fun writing was Zira, because she's very based on like an existing trope that I really really like and love in other characters. But now I love them all. Given the success of I Don't Want to Be a Magical Girl, have you changed? Do you have any long term goals in mind, just in general? Um, yeah, and it wasn't even like the success of it, honestly. It was the like making of, like with my friends. I think what scared me off from wanting to show run or make my own original stuff initially was um, just the fear of like the work of it all and having to do it like alone. But and like rationally I knew like, oh, if I make something I'll have a team, I'll have people helping me out. But I guess I didn't realize like how, to what extent, I guess. So doing the project, like actually just doing it and having people, like having my team was like, oh, like I really am not, like it became tangible in that like, oh, like I really am not doing this alone. Like I have so much support and people helping me, and like I'm just having a good time. Like this is just fun to like really figure out and yeah, just make something that we're proud of together. So yeah, I think doing that had made me want to make more, and like I still don't fully know what my long-term goals for it are, since like again it's only been like a week I think since I put up the pilot, like a little over a week now. um but with like the studio interest and like the fact that studios are reaching out to me about the pilot, it's kind of like, oh, it seems like I could make it something more, which I didn't think would be an option. Like I didn't like the idea of having to really like kickstart. Like kickstart seems like such a headache, and I hate handling money and feeling like I owe something to people, if you know what I like. Very specifically with money though, like if I'm getting like backed on like a project, I'm like, oh, I have to deliver. um like these fans are like very much like financially supporting me. Like that feels like a lot of pressure that I didn't want to deal with, which is why like I did this whole pilot like out of my own pocket pretty much. Like I didn't have a Kickstarter or anything. And like I was planning on paying everybody, but again, like most of them volunteered to help, or like wouldn't just straight up wouldn't let me pay them, even though I tried. Um, so I ended up, yeah, not spending like a whole lot of money. It was still expensive, but like not as much as I had budgeted for, which was really helpful and super nice. And with the makeshift plushies, also, I was able to make some of that money back, which was like super helpful. So thank you guys for getting the plushies. That actually like helped the cost, and like the amount of yeah money that I put into this project. Um, but yeah, I just never like I just don't like the idea of having to do a kickstart and like all the politics that kind of come with it. Um, so like, I think if I am gonna do it, it will be similar to how I did it the first time, and probably like not as long. It would probably take a longer time to be able to do it indie. But then if I do get like studio backing, which I am like more familiar with, and like I've been working at a studio like my whole career. I'm just like more comfortable in that situation, and then also it makes like I guess even though there is kind of pressure, it doesn't feel as like direct and like reliant on like people who follow me. It's just kind of like, oh, I have like studio backing. It's pressure in that like I'm making something for the studio rather than like, oh, this fan that is like counting on me to make something like is helping financially support this, and like I don't want to let them down. Um, it's just like a different kind of pressure that I don't think I would handle as well. But yeah, long term plans. I mean, like if I can, like a season or two of this. Like I don't want it to be like long. It's a story with a beginning, middle, and end, that I have like plotted out in my brain. I wouldn't want it to be any more than that. Yeah. So like I guess the biggest goal would be, yeah, like 2 seasons to tell my story, have like a studio back it. That would be wonderful. And yeah, that's all I got. Uh, 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 uh. I am in love with the artist that ships her with Delia and makes Jesse plump. Hey, that's me. I'm like the only one that draws that ship, and I'm glad people like it. Um, People never know that that's me. It's really funny. Like whenever I post like stuff from my past of like being on the internet for like 10 plus years, people are like, oh my god, that was you. Jesse and Delia comics being one of them. The Pokemon rocket shipping next gens that I did back in like 2017, I think. And then the My Little Pony next gens with like Crystal Clarity and like Turquoise and those guys, which I cannot. I hate looking back at those. Um, I have mixed feelings looking back on those. I was a very different person then. I was a teenager then. I'm very different now and um, have different values, clearly. Um, but yeah, a lot of people don't know that was me, or like that I did like Larmar from the Earthbound Gems on like DeviantArt and stuff. But yeah, I've been on the internet for a long time. I've lived a lot of lives on the internet. Let's see. I love the pilot, especially Zero and Eclipse, but I gotta ask, do you plan on changing any VAs from the pilot if you decide to make the full series? Oh, no. Not if I can help it. Like, again, these voice actors were like literally my dream cast kind of from the beginning. Um, Mad overqualified for this. I'm honored that they helped me. And they are like A-list voice actors. Like, their resumes are insane. So it would be crazy of me to be like, I don't want you anymore. Like that just feels so like no, they are these characters to me. I can't imagine replacing them, you know? Do you have any plans to make Jesse Delia animatics, or do you prefer doing them as comics? Just comics. Animatics are like they take time, and I don't know. It's just like a lot of effort for something that I think is silly and like I don't know, can't really do anything with, you know. Um, Maybe like a short one in the future, but I don't know. It's never something I really thought about. Let's see. How long did the writing process take? Did you find it difficult on how the story would go? I wrote the whole pilot in one day. The day that I went on my hiatus back in September, I think it was like September 13th or 14th. I just furiously like typed up my pilot. Wait. Oh, actually, I did share screen. Hold on, let me see. Make sure I don't share anything sensitive. Make sure I'm closing all my stuff. Where is it? Nope, this is the wrong thing. Hello, where's my pilot? Oh, there it is. Okay, let me see if I can share without destroying everything. Sorry, guys, I've never used YouTube Live before. Let me see. Notes, come back. Ah, there we go. All right, can you guys see that? Okay, that looks nice. Okay. Yeah, this was how I wrote the pilot. I did it in one day, just on my phone, like between my phone and my laptop, just kind of typing it out. Just like in my brain, just kind of imagining like, oh, what points do I want to hit? Like the lead pipe thing was kind of what I was building it around. Just because like the concept of Ica was based on like her having just insane weaponry and I was like, okay, how do I get to this point in a funny way, and kind of built around that. So it's like, okay, well, I need to get Eclipse in here somehow. How do I get him in here, but also how do I establish Ica as a character, and like where is she coming from, what do we need to know, what's actually important, all that kind of stuff. And like again, I didn't really have the foresight for a lot of this stuff. I did just like kind of black out and write. Use like the fact that this is kind of based off of like the magical girl genre, it helped for me to get it started, and that like a lot of magical girl stuff kind of starts similarly. Like, oh, it's usually like the main character going to school, like they don't know what's gonna happen or what's in store for them. Like, I mean, Usagi and like Sailor Moon, like she starts off like waking up, going to school, toast in the mouth, running. Then she meets like her magical mascot, and I was like, okay, that's like a good basis for like the beginning of the adventure. But then since Aika's like already established as a magical girl. It's like, how do we do that but different? So it's like her running to school, but she's like really excited to just do it in a normal way. And yeah, I don't know. It's a lot to explain, but it is like, yeah, this is it. I haven't, yeah, touched this since October, um, 2024. Like, I think yeah, I started it in September. The reason it's edited on October is just because like I would change certain things like as I was boarding it, like and rewrite as I was boarding. But like as you can see, most of it has pretty much stayed the same. Um, two working. Can I go to the bathroom? Sorry, I could. Oh yeah, Miss used to be a little bit more apathetic, um, but I like as I was boarding it, I was like, the reason that I had Aika come back in and do the little like, you're doing great work, I love you. Like it's very genuine, and I wanted to show like why she was like a good magical girl. Like before she started hating it, like she is like a very genuine person and like knows how to make people feel good and like loved and appreciated. She is like what a magical girl is and like what they're supposed to do, like at her core. Like even though she doesn't like the job now, like the reason she's good at it is because like yeah, she's good at what she does. She helps people, she makes them happy. So I wanted to establish that really early. And I don't know, I just love genuine sweetness, like in that kind of stuff. I'm not like a very apathetic or like or like a cynical person. And I always love comedy that is like yeah, very genuine and heartfelt. Like I feel like Bob's Burgers does a really good job of that. Like there's like very genuine, sweet moments without like punching down too much necessarily. So yeah, I wanted that to come through in Aika's character, despite her being yeah, not really liking her job. She's good at what she does. Um, and then yeah, over time, I kind of figured out Mrs. character a little bit more and how I wanted her to play a role in the story because she was originally just going to be like an incidental character. Um, some of this, like, yeah, most of this is the same. Sydney, the kidney girl, was going to have her spleens backwards, apparently, not her kidneys. I forgot that I wrote spleen. Kidney was just funnier, I guess. um, yeah, most of this is the same. I have all these blanks because I was going to give them last names, but I couldn't think of anything. And then also, yeah, Moon Sailor, um, which again, just a stupid bit, like very on the nose. I love that like anti humor. I know some people don't vibe with it, but like whenever we do stuff on like Big City Greens, like to avoid copyright, we usually just put a B in front of it. Like in the Quiet Please episode we did, we had Cricket like set up like Lego blocks that he was gonna step on and it was gonna make him scream. And we're like, what do we call like these off-brand Lego blocks? And we're just like Lego blocks, and they're like, great, go for it. Um, I don't know, that shit just makes me crack up. So I just went with Moon Sailor because, like, again, it's very like I wanted to make this accessible for people who don't really know magical girls. Like I had like kind of like my parents in mind when writing it. Like if I show this to my parents, would they enjoy it? Like would they understand what's going on? And I'm glad I did. I know like a lot of people were kind of like, oh, this is such like surface level like references, which is fine, like it is. But I did want to make sure that like people who haven't seen like magical girl stuff or don't know a lot about it were like clued in to everything still. Um, I think like later on, if I were to do more, like I could get into more niche stuff or like very specific jokes. But like I felt like for a pilot, it was very important to like establish like this is what we're doing. These are what magical girls are or like what they're supposed to be. Like because when you're subverting a genre, it's like you can't like you kind of are. It's weird because you're appealing to magical girl fans hopefully, and people who know the genre. But then also you want to keep in mind the people who like maybe haven't. Um, so like that's why like even in the like end with Zero is like, oh, you're gonna do this. Like it's setting up the like what a magical girl is supposed to do, and then Aika like immediately not doing that thing, just so like newer audiences know what they're supposed to expect, and then like hopefully it was like smooth in that way. Pilots are always hard, and like first episodes are always tricky in that like yeah you have to really set up everything, and like I was like struggling on like writing this. I'm like, God, is this even funny? Like I don't even like know if I'm balancing like yeah the characters and it being funny, being an entertaining story, but also setting up everything that I need to. It was kind of tricky, but again, I just kind of did it in a day. All these questions just in my brain as I was going through it. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I think it's important to set up that kind of stuff. And yeah, this is all, yeah, pretty much shot. Um, I knew what it meant in my brain. No, let's go. She had a quadruple glass before. Um, yeah, I mean that's it. This is what it started off as, and like as you can see, didn't change like almost at all. Um, but yeah, super fun. Jolene the spleen girl, yeah. Miss the legend. Can Sydney the Kinney girl? Sydney the Kinney girl should have a single episode focused on her. I would love to know what Sydney does in one day. That would be fun. I have a question. If the show ever gets a full version, will there ever be an extended version of that ending theme song? It's such a bop. We're working on it right now. Either like we're trying to get like a big artist on it. That's in the works. I don't know how successful we'll be, but we're trying. But like regardless, there will be a full version of the song. So keep an eye out for that. Very exciting. Let's see. Good to know I'm not the only one who writes in bullet points. It's just like it works for my brain. Like nobody else was gonna see this, so it's like as long as I understand it, that's all that matters. That's why I did the actual like scripts. Like, let me stop sharing. I did the actual scripts after I boarded the whole thing. Like when I decided I was gonna have voice actors, I was like, okay, let me actually like write this out so it's easier for them to read. But yeah, I didn't start off with like a traditional script. It was just my notes. Hey, I can't stay, but I just wanted you to know that I love the pilot, loved you on Game Changer, and I read the Jesse Delia comics whenever I'm feeling down. And I read the Jesse Delia comics whenever I'm feeling down. You're great, and I love your work. Thank you, Louie. I appreciate it. Let's see. Hello, everybody who's just coming in. Question, Kiana, how hard is it getting to work for Disney? It depends on the show you're on. Like every production is super different. I like Big City Greens is a pretty demanding show, I found, but like it's the first show I've ever worked on, so I'm used to that level of intensity at this point, and like I've learned a lot on it. It's yeah, the reason I it shaped like who I am and like my sense of humor for sure. Um, but I don't know what you mean by getting like actively being in Disney or getting hired by them. Because like again, that's also kind of I mean, the industry is just kind of bad right now. Like anybody getting hired anywhere is just kind of rough. But um, when I got hired 7 years ago, almost 8 years ago now, yeah, they reached out to me to test. So I got lucky in that way. Let me see. Is there anything else you're looking to make something short? I mean, like a little theme song or concept art or stuff like that. Oh yeah, I mean, I want to do more comics of the characters still for sure, just to like show off their personalities and stuff like that. An opening would be fun. I oh, that would be like again, like so much stuff is happening with the project that I'm not sure where to kind of go until I start having more talks like this week, this month. But yeah, if it doesn't go anywhere with studios, I think an opening would be like a fun next thing to do. Let's see. I watched the pilot around 50 times. Oh my god, thank you. I really appreciate it. I love the pilot so much. I bought an Aiko plushie. Yay, thank you. I can't wait for you to get one. They're so cute. Like they're such like a good size. They're just adorable. I'm so happy with how they came out. Jax, hi. So incredibly proud of you and how this pilot turned out. You and your crew did amazing. Thank you, and thank you for your support always. Like I feel like we've been mutuals, and you've been following me for so long, and yeah, just supporting me through like all my phases. So really appreciate it. Let me see. The ending reminds me a lot of the Steven Universe one. Any inspiration involved? Not particularly. Like when I reached out to my friend to do the ending song, like I can actually look at this. I look at our old messages. Like it's really funny. She's my high school friend, and I haven't seen her in 10 years, like over 10 years. But it's such a funny story. Like we did IB and went to the same high school together, and I very distinctly remember having a talent show, and she sang at our talent show, and I was just like in the bleachers being like, oh my god, she sounds beautiful. If I ever make a show, I'm going to hire her or like have her sing a song, like mark my words kind of thing. And yeah, since this opportunity arose, I was kind of like, I reached out just like cold DM after yeah, like 10 years of not talking to her. She'd be like, "Hey Tasha, I know it's been forever, but I'm working on a pilot and would love for you to sing it, like write a song, like because she's written music before, like she has like a Spotify and everything, and her music was like the vibe of like kind of what I was looking for. I was like, okay, this is perfect. So I asked her, and then she replied that she was super down, and yeah, I just sent her inspiration. I'm trying to look. I told her, yeah, no more than a minute 30, around a minute would be good. The main character's theme is stars, so star motif or the word star in the lyrics would be good. Um, Looking for something chill and lullaby-ish. And then I sent her some of her own songs as reference. And then I sent her like the themes of like um, the entire like show if I were to make more. Um, And I wrote, learning to fall in love with something you were once passionate about again, discovering a newfound appreciation for life through friends, and generally love. So a love song also works. So that's what I had told her initially. And yeah, she was super down. She wrote the whole thing pretty quickly. And yeah, she went the angle of love song, which I think was so sweet. It came out so good. And yeah, I'm excited to do a full version. The opinions on Miss and Devoid being together? I find them super cute, and do you have any plans to draw them together more? Um, that's a tricky one. I mean, like, y'all know me, like, I'll ship like any characters with anybody their age, like, especially lesbians. So like, if it was like me as an outsider watching the show, I would 1,000% ship the two of them. But as like the showrunner, the creator, I'm like, I don't know if I would do it. Could be fun too. Like, it's just like I don't know if they would ever meet in the show, you know? So I don't want like people to get their like hopes up or anything by me drawing them all the time. But like whenever I see like Miss and Devoid fan art, I'm just like, yeah, let's go. So I support it. I don't know if it would be canon per se. I haven't decided on all of that yet. Like they're Devoid and Miss are definitely the more underdeveloped characters. Like I feel very solid in like Aika and Zira and like Hoshi and Eclipse even, but like personality wise, I feel like Miss and Devoid are like I'm still figuring them out and like what I want to do with them. But I mean, I'm always down for lesbians, so do you think I don't want to be a magical girl would be a good fit for small indie studios? Maybe. I think it's tricky because it's a pretty ambitious show. Well, maybe not that ambitious, but like the designs are pretty out there and like animation with them would be tricky. Like I would like in the future love to do like really cool fight scenes and stuff like that and have like the budget to be able to do so. But I don't know, I think it could work for a smaller indie studio, but in my head I am like imagining like I would want to do more with it, you know. Do you think that things are still rough for the animation industry? I feel like no one talks about it after the ratification of the new contract. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's beyond just like the negotiations and stuff that we had. It is just like it's just dry right now. Like studios aren't really making stuff. I don't think they know what to do in this age of like streaming and YouTube. Like YouTube is just kind of like their like competitor at this point. They're like, oh, how do we get kids to like watch our stuff? And they don't know how. Um, so there's still just trying to figure everything out, which is unfortunate. But also like why there's so many indie studios popping up and why people are just doing their own thing because studios are nuts. They're kind of scrambling right now. Dun, dun, dun. Have any indie studios reached out to you? Maybe Glitch. Yes. Oh, Chaz. Hi. I just like noticed your name. Oh my god, nice to see you. Um, God, it's been years. um, oh, I feel like weird talking about it. Um, how do I put this? I am talking to them. I don't think I'll be picked up by them or anything, but it'll be cool to like, um, yeah, just like learn more about them and meet them and yeah, see what their whole deal is and like learn more about like indie animation and stuff like that. But yeah, they seem lovely so far. So I'll be talking to them this week, which is exciting. But yeah. Yeah, Glitch is doing like amazing stuff. I'm excited to learn more about them. Are there any more Disney creators making indie series besides Dana Terrace? I guess it depends on what you mean by Disney creators. I don't know. I feel like artists are always working on something, but everybody's doing different stuff. Like I was just talking to Matt Brawley recently. Like he was giving me like really good advice. I've just been talking to like everybody right now, like particularly about like representation and like, oh God, how do I protect my work? And they've all been super helpful. But yeah, I mean, Matt's doing his own thing. He has his comic coming out, which you guys should read. Family Force 5. I got to read it like a while ago. It's awesome. Um, yeah, he was telling me about that like year and a half ago or something like that. It was so cool to like see it realized. And he sent me like a first draft, or like not the first draft, but like a version of it, and it's so cool. Like it's, if you guys like Sentai, um, Power Rangers kind of stuff, you're gonna love this. But yeah, Matt's awesome. But yeah, nobody else that I know of. I mean, again, most creatives are always kind of like working on something on the side outside of their like 9 to 5. Whether it's just like their own little comics or like actually developing with other studios or yeah, just personal work. How did recording the lines go with the cast? What was the process for that? I mean, as you expect, you get the script, you tell them to read it over ahead of time just so they get the idea. And then when you're in there, you mark your takes, like, oh, take one, you slate them, like, take one ABC. We're going to do like this run. The way Mariev does it, like, because I told her that I wanted like more natural sounding dialogue. Was to do it more like a conversation. So we would do like stretches of dialogue, and like back and forth, like the for like the cafeteria scene. It wasn't like we told like Anaris or Bennett like, oh, just read this line. We're gonna get this line right. Like for Anaris, like Maria would read for Zira, and like they would go back and forth off of each other. So it felt like more conversational, which is really cool. Um, and yeah, and then if we needed like extra coverage or takes, then we would just do that after the run. Are there any projects in general you are excited for? Oh man, I'm so bad at like keeping up with stuff. I mean, yeah, Dana's thing looks super cool. I'm excited what to see like what she can do like with a, yeah, more adult series. Like it just seems so her that I'm like really excited. And I was talking to her at like a Halloween party last year, and she also seems just like so hyped about it. And just, yeah, seems like she has like more creative control now. Um, what else? I'm excited for more Stugo. I don't know if you guys are watching Stugo on Disney Channel, but that show slaps. It's so funny. Um, and it does like, it's not really random humor, but it's very like offbeat, kind of surreal, just like you never know where it's gonna go kind of humor. It's so funny. I am about it. So I'm excited for more. I know they got um, greenlit for like another like back 10 or something like that. And my old director is directing on it, which I'm really excited for because they're so funny and I think like a really good fit for that show. So yeah, looking forward to it. Um, How do you make connections in the TV industry? I want to make a show, but I don't have the skills or the vocal range to do it on my own. It's always tricky to tell people how to network because, like, I don't believe in networking when it's like unwarranted or unprompted. Like, I think going to like conventions and stuff, like Lightbox or like CTN and that kind of stuff is like a good way because it's like meant for networking and like talking to people. But otherwise, like, I don't think you should look at it as like networking or making connections. It's just like you should just make friends. Yeah, I don't know. That's how I kind of met everybody. Like I just would post on Twitter a lot um, back in high school, or not high school, like college. And then I met a lot of people that way who just like happened to enjoy my work also. Um, yeah, just engage with people on like a very genuine level. Like if you guys have common interests, talk about that kind of stuff. Yeah, I don't know. Like don't go people can tell when you're like talking to them just because like they're looking for a connection, you know. I know I felt that, and I'm pretty wary about it just because I don't know. Like, I mean, as I was saying before, I was kind of like a quiet and weird kid, much like Zira, a little awkward, and like I didn't get like a lot of people in college didn't really talk to me or like didn't care about me or yeah, like they just didn't care about like who I was or what I was doing. I was very low key. But then when I got hired out of college for Disney, like that news got around real quick. And then all of a sudden, like people started talking to me and like getting very friendly. People that like I had never talked to before, or never people who never bothered talking to me before were starting to like reach out, um, which was like little strange. But yeah, I you can always tell. I feel like when people are doing that like ladder climby kind of approach. Yeah, I don't know. Just be genuine, be cool. Um, I think there's like professional ways to like reach out to people. Like for this project, Ali Beeridge, who did the sound design and also like helped with the captions, which was like amazing. Yeah, I didn't know her at all. She just cold emailed me out of nowhere, being like, "Hey, like, I'm another Sapphic creator. I work like I love like I've studied like accessible like media and like I like have been following this project for a while. Like if you need help, like please reach out." And I thought that was like a really sweet way to like um yeah, reach out. Like it was very professional, but then also like yeah, she like set up that like connection in that like the commonality that we had, like, oh, we're both Sapphic, like we both care about like projects like this. She gave me like her resume and everything. Like I could tell like she wasn't like trying to hop on something that was like cool or like successful, I guess. It was like genuinely like for the love of the project and for like to genuinely like help me out. Um, and yeah, the way she presented herself, I was like, oh, this is like a really cool person and like very um yeah, just like very sweet. She's like a ray of sunshine. Like our first Zoom call, I was like, oh my god, I could see myself being friends with this person. And I would love to continue being friends with her. Like she lives in a different state, but like I had so much fun like whenever we would Zoom. And yeah, no, she's great. I feel like that's a good way to like go about like reaching out to people. Um, yeah, absolutely wonderful person. Let's see. How was the feeling of finally getting to be known for your own thing instead of being known mainly for fan art and fandoms? It's really cool. Like I didn't mind being known for um like Team Rocket or My Little Pony stuff at the time. Because I feel like I carved out my own niche in those little fandom spaces, and like it's nice to be known for like anything regardless in like this era of um yeah, just being online and having to market yourself. It's like, oh, anything that will get me like recognized, like, oh, you're the Team Rocket person. I'm like, yep, that's me. Like whatever it takes for you to remember who I am. I didn't mind it, but like it is really cool now to be like to have such like a personal project to me that is very like me in that like, oh, the character's black and Asian like I am. The humor is very like me, the writing is me, like it's so me and like was just like tied to me from the beginning. It was, yeah, it's been really cool that people are, yeah, like seeing that now. Or like that's the first thing people think of when they hear me now, or like hear my name. It's like, oh, you did the magical girl thing. More so than like, oh, you did the Pokemon thing. Which I don't mind being known for at all. Like that's a cool thing to be known for. But yeah, there's something like a little more special, I would say, about yeah, being known for my own thing, and that like my project is out there enough for it people to recognize me from that. Question: would Aika use a gun? Yes, I've drawn her with one 2 times. Question: have you watched Pixar's Win or Lose on Disney Plus? Yes, it's so cute. I really like it. I was kind of like I wasn't sure how I was vibing with it, like with the first 2 episodes. Um, just because of like the nature of how like the story structure is and like why they have to set it up in that way. But I don't know. I never like I try not to judge like series on like their first episode. Um, just because like we were talking about before, it's like there's so much to set up. Like usually like it's harder to kind of really focus on character stuff like a whole lot because you're like, oh, I need to set the tone for what the rest of the show is going to be and like make sure the audience understands like what's going on. Um, and then after that, then it's kind of like, okay, you get the idea. So it's like, okay, I'll give this a chance. Like the premise itself is really fun. The characters are really cute. I'm about it. Not quite my thing yet, but we'll see. And then, sure enough, like the following week, like those 2 episodes that dropped with Rochelle and her mom, I was like, this is so good. Because then you get to like see the pattern of like what they're trying to do a little bit more. Yeah, it's just solid. It's like very unique way to tell a story. Like it's like a I mean it is like intended to be like a short series that's very like deliberate in like what it's doing, and I think it's only what 8 episodes or something, maybe 10, or it's going to be. Like they have 6 out now. But yeah, animation on point, cinematography goes crazy. The character designs are so cute in my opinion. I feel like a lot of people keep going like, oh, it looks like Grubhub, like and I'm just like, oh, what are you talking about? The designs look so good. Like I guess like if you take a still and just kind of look at it, like maybe it's not that appealing to you, but like in motion, like the way these characters move and like how much personality they have is like insane, and like it's so unique and special. And I'm glad that they are getting to make that. And like I don't know, I'm just like I'm happy to see anything different from Pixar. Like I feel like they had like a little bit of a rough patch, um, like post Inside Out. Like what was that, like back in 2010 or something like that. Um, that was also the same time that I was kind of at Pixar, and being there made me want to go into TV and not feature anymore, which is really funny. Um, but I I don't know. I'm happy that they're trying something different. Like when I was there, it felt very like formulaic, or like they had like a way that they were doing things that I didn't fully like not like agree with, but like I just didn't vibe with as much as like I wanted to. Um, so yeah, I don't know. It's really cool that they're doing like more original stuff and yeah, taking big swings. How do you find voice actors? I'm fine voicing half the characters in my pilot, but I have 2 mass characters who are way out of my range. Just ask. Reach out to agents. I'm on Behind the Voice Actors all the time. I love that site so much. Um, like when I came like when I was finding voice claims for the characters, like I already had them in mind, like just based on like how much I'd been on that site before. Um, and yeah, like a lot of them I ended up being like mutuals with already or like had a connection to. So I just reached out to them to see if they'd be down. But outside of that, like open casting calls are always an option. And then, yeah, if you're looking for like professional voice actors, usually they'll have an agent that you reach out to and you like pitch your pilot or whatever to them to, and then like what your rates or like what ask like what their rates would be or like what your budget is to see if they would be interested. But I don't know. It's always worth asking. Like, shoot for the stars. The worst they could say is no, or like it just doesn't work out. Like voice actors are artists too. They like doing stuff that's creatively fulfilling, and yeah, I mean that's why most of the voice actors who helped me on this did it like at a discounted rate or like for free. So I don't know. People can tell when there's like passion behind something and like want to, yeah, just makes cool stuff. Again, especially now with like how the industry kind of is. Let's see. Step one, don't be like Buddy Pines from Incredibles. You know, Incredible. Yeah, exactly. Love that perspective a lot. I think people get stuck on the grind, but but where's the genuine connection? That's a great mindset to have. Yeah, I mean, yeah, like make friends. I forget who told me this. Like, I might have learned it in school or like, I can't remember where I learned it. Maybe it was like my during a mentorship or something. But I feel like people get very focused on like, oh, they have like their heroes or like people they're aspiring to be and are like, I need to connect with them or like these people that are like amazing and like get on their level. And like, while it's cool to do that, like maybe it'll work out sometimes, you never know. But somebody like once told me, like, don't reach up, like go like reach laterally, like find your community that is like on the same level as you are because I don't know, it gives you that opportunity to grow together with people and like everybody starts somewhere. Like Dana Harris, Matt Brawley, the Houghtons, all of them, like they weren't always like huge showrunners or anything or like really like well-known creators. Like they had to start somewhere and like they didn't necessarily like, yeah, have like people who are like already in the industry like who lifted them up. Like they have like their classmates or like whoever, like their peers that they reached out to and kind of like they all like brought each other up together, you know. I don't know, it's just like much like beyond just like making friends. It is like yeah, it's nice to have like community of people that like, yeah, you're on the same level on and like can grow with together and like learn from. It's just like I think that's kind of like what college is, honestly. Like you like will have access to the knowledge of people who are like veterans in like whatever industry, but then like and like you can learn from them and like hear what they have to say, but like they're not necessarily your peers, right? But then like your classmates are who like you are like you want to make those connections with and who you, yeah, would want to like learn from and like help each other out and like grow together. I don't know. I guess it's like a balance. Like, if you want to reach for the stars, go for it. You never know, because like maybe you're underestimating yourself and like how, um, like your own talents. Um, but yeah, I don't know. It's like easier to reach out to people who are in like a similar boat as you. And yeah, just grow and learn together. That's kind of just that's what I'm getting at. So I'm like really bad at explaining stuff. I'm not great with words. Hopefully that all makes sense. Do you think LGBTQ representation is going to be more common in indie animation than mainstream? Oh, easily. Yeah, because like mainstream, well, like is mainstream for a reason. It's appealing to the general public and like the like middle America, and there will always be some level of like censorship, I think, in that. And like even if there are like queer characters, like what you can do with them, I feel like can be pretty limited depending on the studio or like who's in charge. But like with indie, it's kind of like yeah, you can do whatever you want. Like depend like it also depends on the indie studio. Like some indie studios may have like weird politics also, but I think generally like indie projects like you can just kind of do whatever you want. Like it's your thing. So yeah, depends. But generally, yes, I do think indie stuff is more open to that kind of thing and representation. So wild, I remember how cool you were in high school when you were doing MLP, next gen stuff. Can't imagine people not wanting to talk to you. Oh, was My Little Pony cool though? Was it really? I don't think it was. Um, Nobody at school knew that that's what I did. I didn't tell anybody about that. Um, yeah, no. Like maybe now, I guess the culture's changed. Like I know like anime is way cooler than it used to be, but yeah, I don't know about My Little Pony. Like that's not a dig on like My Little Pony either. Like that shit was great. I still love it. I'll go back and watch it every once in a while. But I just don't think it was necessarily cool in high school, you know. Unless this was like a sarcastic question. If that's the case, that's funny. I know you mentioned Aika is biracial, like yourself, so would you want her to reflect any of your own experiences of being biracial and the social commentary that comes with it? Um, Not 1,000%. I think there's like a lot of overlapping themes with that. I mean, like the core of the series, like is really like I made this to like I feel like I have a very black sense of humor and like cartoony sense of humor. But then also wanted to bring anime, so it's like my black and Japaneseness kind of like blending. So like at the core of the series is kind of like that mixed experience, you know, of just like writing styles and comedy and even art style and how the characters are designed is all based in that. The premise of Aika even like kind of living this double life of like, oh, magical girl life versus her normal girl life. Like, my experience being black and Asian, I think also plays into that in little bits. Well, not like completely on like, um, not a complete one to one. Like, I think you can draw like your experiences from like different things and apply it to other things. So in that way, yeah. But other than that, like, not really. It's not something I plan on like really getting into. Um, I don't know. Again, it's like a very unserious show. I don't think I'm gonna get into like racial politics or like handle like. I just don't think it's something the like the show like a very unserious show would like. It's not the right place for that for those discussions to happen. I think there's better ways to do it. Um, my main thing is just like I want to like have the representation and like just normalize showing like black characters, normalize showing mixed characters, and normalize showing queer characters. Like that's as like political, I guess, as it would get. Like not even political, but like yeah, just normalizing it, showing it. Um, yeah, it's not like I'm gonna tackle race theory or anything in the show or anything like that. But good discussions to have. I just don't think a cartoon like this is the place for it. Happy to talk about it in any other situation, in a more serious, like academic uh, situation. But yeah, maybe not in a cartoon like this. But yeah, I think like regardless, like my identity is tied to who I am, and it will always be present in my artwork, no matter what. Like, um, so it'll come out in like different ways, I would say. Question: what would you say is the ideal way to arrange a drawing tablet workstation for animation that helps your pilot for I Don't Want to Be Magic role? Seeing it realized must have felt cathartic, I imagine. Yeah, super cool. And then for setups, um, I don't know. At work, for me, I have like my Cintiq on the right for my right hand to draw because I'm right-handed, and then I have my like Mac laptop just kind of there where I usually pull up like reference and stuff, or like have other little things open, and then I have like another monitor. So I have three monitors at work, and then I do like the split screen thing that you can do on Mac, where I have like usually like a YouTube video going, just to like have something to listen to, or usually it's music, and then the other side is like my email and social media like tabs to like kind of click through. So yeah, like drawing station, um, work reference station, and then uh, email and video, like whatever I'm watching. I found that that's been like a nice setup. But then when I'm at home, like I'm just like on this Mac that I'm talking to you guys from, and then uh, Intuos Wacom tablet, and I just like lie down, which is probably really bad for my back actually. But I stretch, so hopefully I'm okay. But yeah, I like lie just like flat on my stomach and draw like that. And that's my setup. Very different vibes. Whoa, I keep oh my god. Sorry, I keep like holding on the chat like to read certain questions, and I go down and just like all comes out at once. But yeah, let me keep reading. Dun, dun, dun. My Little Pony will always be cool in my heart. So true. Favorite My Little Pony song. Ooh, that's a hard one. I mean, This Day Aria is a classic. I did really like the Bat song. I'm not gonna lie. Stop the bats, make them go and not come back. Um, I liked all the songs from it was Rarity's episode with Coco Palmel. Is that her name? The like Generosity song. I love that one. That one's cute. But I mean, so many of like most of the songs on the show are bangers. Like they're really good. Do you like Calvin and Hobbes? I haven't read a Calvin and Hobbes in a long time, but I used to read it all the time when I was little, and they're so fun. I love how like dry and like kind of flat the humor was. It's so good. What type of music do you listen to? I listen to anything. Like I don't have like a particular artist or anything that I get super attached to, other than like Anderson Paak, Living Collie, Twice. Who else do I like? Lady Gaga and like Beyonce. I feel like those are the only artists I like actually keep up with, and then everything else is very like song to song basis. If I like the song, then I like the song, kind of thing. Yeah, I guess generally pop and rap, hip hop is usually my wheelhouse. Do you know what you've unleashed on us, melanated dweebs? I haven't cosplayed in years, but I'm drafting a costume as we speak. Let's go! Yeah, I'm so glad. No, that's been like so nice. Like, again, so rewarding. A lot of like the people who have been reacting to the pilot are also like black women and like black men, or black like anime fans just in general, and it's been really nice to see. It's just like how happy it makes them to just see characters that look like them at all. And it's like, damn, we really have like we don't really have like a lot to pick from. So it's nice to be able to be like, this is for us. Like I don't know, it's very special, and it's been really cool seeing like the cosplays coming out. Like I was telling people, I think I can show it. I could share screen, but I'm lazy. Um, there's this girl who like literally is just Zero. Like I was like, oh, if Zero is real, like this is 1,000% what she would just look like. Like, this is so cute. Like that's just her. I was like, oh my god, dude, I'm gonna cry. Like that's my girl. Um, but yeah, made me so happy. So good. Let me see. Hello, question. What was the hardest part when it came to the pilot? As a director, probably like music. Um, like I have so little music experience. I don't know anything about instrumentation or like how to read music. Like I did music when I was younger, but like none of that really like is applicable to what we were doing. So it was like really tricky to kind of like nail down what I wanted, or like like whenever I was doing notes with like our composer, like it was like frustrating on my end. Like I was frustrated with myself for not being able to like explain exactly what I wanted. I mean, she was fantastic and was able to kind of like understand what I meant. But like it's so tricky, right? Like trying to explain what you want, but like not having the vocabulary or like the knowledge for it. So that was probably the hardest part. Everything else was like very much more in my wheelhouse, like storyboarding, animatic editing, like voice not as much, but like at least like I can hear, like I know what I want to hear and like what kind of delivery I'm looking for. But like music was just so new to me. So that was definitely the trickiest, I would say. Do you think that being out and making queer art has limited your job options, even in LA? Still feels scary letting people know. I mean, it's hard to say because like I've been at the same job for a long time, but like my queer art and who I am is kind of the reason they reached out to me in the first place. Like, I mean, they found me because of my Team Rocket art at the time, and I was drawing gay shit then, and that didn't deter them from me, even though like Big City Greens is a very like white show, uh, white and pretty. I mean, it's a safe show. We'll say it's a safe show. Yeah, I've never felt like an outcast or like they didn't want me or anything like that. They have to be aware. Like most, like so many artists are queer. Like that's just like the overlap, the natural overlap that kind of happens. So yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't worry about it too much. Be yourself. What's your favorite Pokemon character, Jesse? Have you watched Steven Universe? Yes, that was like a huge inspiration for me, and like Steven Universe helped me be me. Honestly, like it helped me come out. Also, like came out around the same time, like that Ruby and Sapphire episode came out. Like I grew up in a very like Christian household, and yeah, I genuinely just did not know gay people existed and like trans people existed for like a long time, like until I went to college and like until I watched that show. Really, like I learned a lot. I know like people like to dunk on it a lot now and like, oh, the queer representation was so surface level, blah 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 blah. But like, I think like a lot of younger people or like younger fans nowadays don't really realize like how bad it was before, and like how like sparse like queer representation was, or like like queer marriage, like gay marriage is like still like pretty recent, honestly. Yeah, it's just like it was not normalized at all. So like seeing that like really changed my life and like set me on like such a different path than I think I would have been if it didn't existed. So it's like yeah, very special to me. I love the show. It's gorgeous. I love the writing. All the representation in it is great. Yeah, big fan of Steven Universe. That's how me and my girlfriend also like started talking. Um, also, like that's what we connected over when we yeah first met. Let's see. Is Ike a part of a team? Yes. Well, she was before she ran away. Um, hey yo, why you mad, gorgeous? Thank you. Appreciate it. I'm all right. Mm, I do have a question. Maybe I missed it earlier, but do you have any indie animation shows that you're loving right now? Looking forward to more of your stuff in the future. Let me see. I mean, obviously, with glitches going on, they got cool stuff. I haven't watched a lot of Murder Drones yet. I'm very curious about that one. But like, I mean, Amazing Digital Circus, I've been keeping up with. What else have I been watching? I liked Port by the Sea. Port by the Sea was really cute. I'm also looking forward to Lumi. I forget the whole title. Um, Lumi in Space, something like that. That one also looks really pretty. I've been kind of following along with that one. What else? Oh my god, there's just so much. I need to like just go through like that playlist of just like all indie animated projects. I finally watched Becky Prim though, like that pilot. Oh my god, that's like another like animatic pilot that like if you guys haven't watched yet, it's just so funny. I love that one. That one was like 10 years ago though, or like nine. No, I think 8 years ago. But yeah, I don't know. I need to catch up on like a lot of stuff. Wallace and Gromit references in the future. Cheese, Sarah. Why does Aika like cheese so much? You tell me. I literally just did like that one drawing or like that one comic where she's like, I just want to try cheese because I was trying to think of like a stupid thing that she could say that like oh what's like a food that has like a lot of variations or like variants and I was like I guess there's a lot of cheese out there like that's a fun silly goal to have just like try every single one and then people latched onto it which I think is really funny. I love that it like it's kind of become her thing. I just like love mundane goals. um, but yeah, it's just become a part of her character, which I think is funny. It also like is nice that it worked out in that like with the cheese, like there is kind of like a moon motif or connection there, which is like, what can we do with that? Mhm. Do you see I Don't Want to Be a Magical Girl to be TV 14 to be a TV 14 show if it got picked up by a studio? Yes, that is the age demographic I am shooting for. Um, why was love interest crossed out in the bio of Zira? Hmm, I don't know. Could mean anything. I'm 1 million years late, but are there any other side characters that you have in mind besides like Miss, Eclipse, and Zira? Side characters as a non-main protagonist, antagonist. I mean there would have to be probably. I have drafted up like as I was like making this pilot, like even while I was still storyboarding it, I like drafted up like episode 2 and 3 just for fun. And yeah, there's other students that are around. They'd be much more minor characters than like Zira and Miss are for sure, but like they'd be around. Like there would have to be more characters to like fill out the world a little bit more. Then there's like his teammates, who would probably be introduced at some point. Um, yeah, yeah, definitely would be more characters. Who do you listen to on YouTube for ambient sound? I watch a lot of Smosh for sure. I just love like yeah, just weird comedy, like yeah, just like comedy groups, like even Dropout, like that, like kind of wheelhouse. I really enjoy. Um, yeah, Damien's a friend of mine, and I'm like mutuals with a few of those guys too. Got to meet Angela once. They're all so sweet and really nice. When creating character unlike yourself, do you have friends that are similar to the character that you ask questions? Sometimes, like I mean, whenever I make stuff, I always run it by my friends anyway. But there's not usually like a specific friend in mind who I'm like asking like questions of. It's just like, is this funny? Like very general kind of questions. Let's see. Are the comics you made canon to I Don't Want to Be Magical Girl? I guess so. Like kind of. Like it's hard to say. Like if I were to make like a full series with a studio, I'm sure some stuff would have to change, but like otherwise, like as it stands, yeah, they're canon. Did you hold auditions for the characters? If so, how long did that stage last? No, I did not. I just reached out to all the voice actors directly, and all of them said yes, which I was blown away by. I did not think I was going to get all of them. How does it feel to have the pilot pass 2 million views? It's crazy. I did not think it was going to do that well. Like, I don't go on YouTube that much, like, or post on YouTube that much. So I thought like a cold upload would be kind of like I didn't think it would do that well. Like I knew it would do fine just because like I have a kind of built-in following, like just from other places like Twitter and Blue Sky and Tumblr and stuff like that. So I knew it would do decent, but like 2 million views good in like a week, no, I did not expect that at all. So I'm really happy with the reception. I hope you have fun answering questions from friends and strangers. I need to go work on my story. Thanks for stopping by. Good luck on your work. What do you think is the most important skill when you're trying to get into TV animation, and how can an artist stand out when applying for jobs? Being fast, being clear, and being funny. I think being funny is the best way to stand out. Um, because drawing can kind of be taught and like worked on, but like being your sense of humor and being funny is like a much harder skill to kind of like I guess learn and be like unique in. So yeah, really hone those writing skills. Because even though like as a board artist, like you might not necessarily be writing a whole lot depending on the show. Like Big City Greens, we have to be able to write. It started off as a board driven show, and like it's like a hybrid now where we get scripts, but like we have to be able to write. They want us to be able to beat the scripts basically. But I feel like people who have been on Big City, like who have been the most successful on Big City Greens, aren't the people who like draw really well. It's the people who are funny and like consistently funny. Hello, just realized you were streaming. Adored the pilot. Wishing you and the cast well. Thank you. You're so pretty. I've been here since the start. Yay, thank you. Y'all are so nice. Stop gassing me up. What are we? How did you figure out all of the names for your characters? They are very pretty names, and I have trouble picking out names for my OCs. Same here. I just go on like babynames.com or whatever. Just kind of like look up keywords of stuff that like vaguely are associated with the character. Like Zira's name means moonlight. It has like African origins, and I was like, oh, that's so pretty. And also worked out that with like Aika's name is like a A to Z, just really highlighting that they're opposites. And then Hoshi's name is just Hoshi because it means star in Japanese. And Eclipse is Eclipse to keep up with the space motif, and then Lady Devoid because she's like a void. But I wanted to do like a like Cruella Deville situation. I was like, oh, devoid is a word. We'll just make it and then capital V, make it a little different. Devoid. Um, and then Miss is just based on like how kids usually just call teachers Miss or like Mister without um, knowing their actual name or like saying their actual name, which ended up becoming like a like actual like important thing to her character. Like she's so lost in her work that like that's just what she's known as. Like nobody knows what her real name is. Does she even know what her real name is? Who knows? Small mention. How do you draw hands? I was thinking about finally storyboarding a series and I was working on, but I'm stumped on the hands. Just do them in like a cartoony way. I feel like cartoony hands are much easier, but then like if you can like study like real life hands, like do it like learn the rules before you break them, kind of thing. But also, yeah, like as you're drawing, like take pictures of your own hand, do like the poses, and like try to recreate it. Do you watch Drawfee? Yeah, I was on Drawfee for the Team Rocket episode. Yeah, those guys are great. Nathan texted me a while ago when the pilot came out. He's very sweet. And then yeah, we were on Game Changer together, like me, Nathan, and Caldwell. Can you share your current pitch pilot experience someday in the future? Maybe write a short doc or something. Hi, Dominic. Yeah, maybe. I'm thinking about it, but also like I have a lot of podcasts coming up where I will be kind of like explaining my process. So hopefully that might be enough just to like listen to those and then get information that way. Um, yeah, we'll see. Like, I mean, it's always hard to like kind of like get your thoughts and like say everything in like an organized way when you're just talking. But hopefully, with all of those podcasts combined, like you'll get an idea of how I pulled it all off. Um, who lied and who lied to you and said it wouldn't do well? Nobody said it wouldn't do well. It was just like my own like, oh, I'm not sure, like because yeah, I don't upload on YouTube ever. It's like such a specific thing to me that I wasn't sure how like far it would reach. Um, but yeah, pleasantly surprised. Did you storyboard it all first and then record voices, or vice versa? Voices after for sure. How long did it take from conception to finally publish the project? I drew Aika for the first time in August last year, just as like a silly one-off idea, and then in September I started doing those like bios that you guys have maybe seen by now. And then that was like in September, and it was like around the time like my hiatus was, where I was like, oh, okay, I want to do a board sample. So then yeah, I wrote and thumbnailed the whole thing in one day, and then for my 2 month hiatus that I had from Disney, I boarded the whole thing, and then after that, the like last 4 months, like it was 6 months, it was a 6 month process. The last 4 months of that process were music, sound effects, recording, um, and is that it? Editing. Editing's the big one. Um, but it was a tricky time. Like because it wasn't like an actual team. Like I wasn't like we didn't have like a schedule or anything. It was very loose and open. I was just like, you guys just work on this whenever you can. Like I know you all are doing this. Like it's volunteer work, so like I don't want to put pressure on you. Like there's no rush to get this out, basically. So yeah, like if it was like a full team, like I think we could have done it like way faster, like maybe 3 months. But like I wanted people to have fun with it and not feel pressured to finish in like an insane amount of time. And also it was like November, December, so like there's Thanksgiving and then Christmas right after, and then New Year's, and then LA was on fire in January, so that was also a factor. So a lot of stuff kind of got pushed off to the side during production. But I mean, 6 months is still pretty tight. Uh, but yeah, that's about how long it took. Gonna say that your pilot has single-handedly given me a lot of motivation for art for the past week. Thanks for that. Yay, I'm so glad. Yeah, I mean, same. Like I was like inspired by like a lot of other people doing indie stuff. Oh, that person that asked what indie stuff I'm keeping up with, Punch Punch Forever. Oh my god, that was like, oh my god, I think that's my favorite indie thing ever that has been made. Like Speedwater's a genius. Just such strong art direction and such a strong vision. Also, just hilarious. So cool. I love that show. There's 2 episodes out. So good. So good. I've watched it so many times. That was like when that came out, that single handedly kind of just like, oh my god, I want to make art. Like that's the same feeling. Yeah, I love Punch Punch Forever. Have you seen, heard of The Art of Murder? Oh yes, I did watch that. Yeah, it's so pretty. My god, absolutely stunning piece of work, and the music's fun too. Kind of surprising, only 600 ish watching this. Really? I'm like, only? I'm surprised that that many people are here. I think it was like 700 earlier, but I mean, we've been at it for 2 hours now. Is there a backstory for how she became a magical girl? Yes, and I will not tell you until I figure out what I'm doing with this project. Hello, everybody. More people are still kind of coming in. If you like Punch Punch Forever, do you enjoy the way mascot Frog, cool Frog, always tends to do random, unexpected things? Would you consider doing the same with Hoshi, like random, silly? Um, I don't know. I feel like I don't do random humor that well. Like that, like very specific brand of like Newgrounds humor, like kind of like YOLO, Crystal Fantasy, and like Smiling Friends, and yeah, like Punch Punch. Like that's it takes such like a specific brain and skill that like I don't have. Like I have a very like I feel like my sense of humor or like the way I go about stuff is very like either visual or like dialogue based, I guess. I don't know. Like it's a little more conventional, I guess I would say, than like Punch Punch Forever or like YOLO is. I love that kind of humor, but I have a hard time writing it personally or like executing it. So I'll leave it to them. Wongon Gulch was good. Oh my god, I need to watch that one still. It's crazy that I haven't watched that one yet, actually. Oh, Big Top Burger is another one. Yeah, I do love that one. Ian is so talented. Will this VOD be saved? I'm assuming so. Again, I've never streamed on YouTube, so I don't know how it works. I'm assuming unless like I press like a setting that says delete, um, it will be there, like under the live tab. So yeah, hopefully it'll be there still. Did you make a mood board before? Did you make a mood board for the pilot? Nope. Genuinely, again, I wrote it in one day in my notes app, and that was it. I just let it flow. How would you describe Hoshi's personality? A little neurotic, less neurotic than they were before, but more like um, a little more apathetic. Like since they're just tired of Aika, like doing like just whatever she wants. They're just kind of like, you know what, you're doing your job. Who cares? Like as long as you're doing it, fuck it. Like that kind of attitude, like very sassy, like a lot of mascots tend to be, but like also like partially more chill, I guess, like a little more grounded of a character than other magical mascots tend to be. That's kind of what I was going for. I feel like getting your mascot right is kind of tricky, like because people either think they're like the most annoying thing ever, or they're just not interesting. But yeah, I want Hoshi to like, even though they didn't have like a huge part in the pilot, I want like their and Aika's like relationship to really like be a driving force for like a lot of the stories, and just like the way they butt heads and the conflicts that come out of that, and like their past relationship, because like they were close at one point, and Hoshi really cared for Aika, almost raised her. So yeah, Hoshi will play like a pretty crucial part in like everything. And yeah, I want to make sure they get like the love they deserve. If he was Hoshi, I would I would have an attitude after being locked in a box. Dark, dark, magical box. Hi, I love the pilot so much. You and your whole team did an amazing job bringing it all together. Been following the project on Blue Sky, and I'm so happy it blew up. Thank you. I'm happy it blew up too. It's been wild. Did you base some of Aika and Zira's dynamic on Tokomaru? I mean, kind of. Like, again, most of the characters in, like, like everything I did is just based off of, like, very self-indulgent tropes that, like, I enjoy. So, yeah, it is kind of like it's not quite Tokomaru. Like, their dynamic isn't quite the same. Like, personality-wise, a little bit more so. Like, sunshiny girl and, like, kind of a nerd. Um, but I do think their dynamic is a little different than Tokomaru. Because Toko, like, was usually, I feel like, the driving force or the one telling um, Komaru to, like, be brave and, like, do better. Whereas, like, it's kind of flipped with Aika and Zira, I would say. But also, they are, like, a good influence on each other. in different ways. Yeah, not quite the same, but kind of there. But loosely, yeah, kind of based on them. Like, I mean, Zira is based on Toko, so like that part of it is very much yes. But Aika is not quite based on Komaru. It's like a they have a different vibe for sure. Can you do a flip? Not right now, but like I can do a backflip. I did gymnastics and cheerleading for a very long time, and I still go to gymnastics classes when I can. I want to be able to do a backflip until I'm like 40. That's like the goal. Have you seen the Danny Mata reaction yet? Yes. I think I've commented on pretty much every reaction that I've seen. So like, uh, if my comment's not there, then I probably haven't seen it. But if it is there, I have. I've been very thankful to people who've been, yeah, reacting to the pilot and yeah, sharing it with their audience. It's really cool. I feel like I watch like a lot of reaction YouTubers. Like it's definitely like a guilty pleasure. Um, but I don't know. I find it very informative. Like I don't know if you guys feel this way, or like any other creatives feel this way. Um, I find it really informative to watch reaction content. Like I know a lot of people say it's like lazy or like bottom of the barrel like YouTube content, and like I guess you could argue that it is, but like I find it very useful as like a creator to see like most of my friends are very like creative people or like work in the industry also, so like whenever I show them stuff they're like, oh, they get it, we're on the same page usually. But it's really interesting to hear what like, oh, like normie, like the normie audience or like general audiences kind of like get from like watching movies or like cartoons and stuff, and like what kind of stuff they latch onto, because it is very different. Like, and I found that while I was like kind of showing my pilot in like different stages. Like I would show it to like my roommate Bree, who helped on the backgrounds and everything, who's also an artist and has been in art for like a really long time. And like she kind of like we laugh at like the same kind of jokes. Like she would laugh at like the expressions and like the just like the weird line reads and stuff like that. And yeah, like all my other friends who are like in creative spaces kind of reacted that way. But um I showed it to my girlfriend's law school friends also. And their reaction was so different. Like they still really liked it and like they would laugh like at a lot of the jokes, but it was always like the very like written jokes and like the stuff that had like a very clear like setup and punchline, which like I don't think is as funny personally. Like I love like the subtle, just like weird stuff usually. So it was like really interesting, yeah, to see like what they were latching onto, and it was like a nice reminder that like okay, like I do need to like if I do more, like I want to make sure like I'm like not fully catering to them, but like also like having something in there for more general audiences who might not like just find the like really subtle stuff like really funny. Yeah, it's really cool. I like watching the like general public kind of react because it is like we all laugh at different things. We all have different senses of humor. So yeah, very interesting, really cool. I like seeing others' interpretations. Yeah, exactly. Like that's the beauty of it. Like I don't know, like even like seeing people who don't like it as much is like really like informative. Um, like yeah, sometimes they just don't get it. That means like maybe I did something that like wasn't as clear that maybe I should have clarified more, or also like oh maybe we just have completely different senses of humor and this isn't necessarily for them, and like they don't have to like it either. Like that's just how it is. That's the creative process. But yeah, all of it is good information and stuff that's like worth yeah taking into account. I think it's easy to get defensive about your projects and like, oh, people don't like it. Like I failed. Like this one, oh, this one person like hates how I did this. Like, I don't know. It's not a healthy way to look at art or like what you do. Like, not everybody has to like everything. Like, I mean, like I don't like everything. Like, there's a lot of movies that I've watched where I'm like, oh, like I didn't really enjoy that, but like somebody does, and that's really cool. Um, and like I think over time, like teaching myself like that's a very normal reaction to have. Like people don't have like will never like there's never gonna be like a piece of media or like anything that like collectively everybody's gonna like love, right? Like there's always gonna be somebody who doesn't like something, and that's okay. And I think that's also why it's like it's much more rewarding to do like your thing also. Like once you learn that like you don't have to cater to everybody, just like make something specific to you and it'll find its audience. Oh, I saw a question that disappeared. um how'd you get your start in the industry? I've got my own OCs that I want to make into a series, kind of the dream. um I got started at Big City Greens back in 2017. um I was just posting, like I was in college at the time, posting Team Rocket fan art, and I mentioned in like the oh, what was it? There was like a tag going around like for Black artists, and like I mentioned like, oh, I'm Kiana, I'm 20 years old, I want to be a storyboard artist someday, and one of the directors on Big City Greens found it, and they emailed me, asked me if I wanted to like test for the show. So I tested for the show. I did that test in a weekend. Like they usually give you like about a week to do a storyboard test. I did it in a week because I had to do school still. Um, so I did it like the night before that I had to turn it in, and then I turned it in, and they really liked it, and they asked if I could move down within 2 weeks. So I had to drop out of school and find a new roommate to replace me in my old apartment, and then my dad came up from Hawaii to help me move all my stuff down, get a car, get an apartment, get insurance set up, all that fun stuff. And then yeah, started on Big City Greens. Yeah, it's wild. Like they just found me on Twitter. Like I didn't have a portfolio or anything. Like I guess my portfolio was Twitter, but yeah, that's kind of how I got my start. What are some of your favorite jokes in the episode? Oh, since it's like my stuff, it's like hard to be like, oh, this was so funny. I love this part. But a lot of it has to do with the actor's performance. Like the way Alex says "mood man" gets me every time. Um, that cracks me up. Um, that's one of my favorites. And then the Zira's line at the end after she's like, "Can you teach me how to do that?" And then Ika's like, "No." And she's like, "No, stupid. I shouldn't." And like cuts herself off and is like, "Hey, so is it cool that I know your secret identity?" Um, that was like another Bennett Ibarra improv bit because I think in the script I just had her say like noted, like after Ika's like, "Nope," and then Zero's just gonna be like, "Noted." Wait, so is it okay that I know his secret identity? But then if you like, please guys, like I'm begging you to watch the like outtakes from Zira's from like Zira's lines and like Bennett's outtakes, especially at the end. Like a lot of those are in there. um she had one where she's like like Ika's like nope, and then she was like no duh, anyway, so dude, is it okay that I know your secret? um just like so many good like, oh, just like juicy improv, like very natural sounding bits that I loved. And then same thing with like when Ika's like, you know what, I'll just go. Like I sat down before I asked, and then she was like, no, 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 wait. um And like the way that Bennett delivers that last line where she's like nobody really talks to me is all like kind of like petering out. Like I love when characters like can't commit to the the thing that they're gonna say. Like I just think that's so funny. It's just like, girl, speak up. But it's, I don't know, it just cracks me up. Um, yeah, those are some of my favorite bits. All of it is just like a lot of it is just like the line delivery that the actors brought, because it's like it's so hard for me to like really laugh at my own jokes like after I've watched it so much. Like the first passes, it's like, okay, yeah, I want to make something that's funny to me and like it makes me laugh like the first time I write it. But after I've watched it like 500 plus times, it's kind of like, okay, like I've heard this joke a million times. Like I've like it's my joke, I wrote it, whatever. But like yeah, the voice actors brought like so much new life to it and made it like way more funnier. Ah, yes, anxiety, exactly. Will there be Pokemon references in the show? Maybe not direct references. I don't like this feels stupid to say because like this whole pilot like is more or less like a Sailor Moon reference, or like there are like a lot of Sailor Moon references in it, but like I don't usually like doing references unless it like moves the story forward. Otherwise it feels kind of shallow. Or like just kind of thrown in there. Like I don't want it to feel like lazy or not thought through. Like if there's a way to do like a Pokemon reference that like I felt would help the story or like fit in naturally with the story, then yeah. But like yeah, for like the Moon Sailor one, it was less like yeah, it very clearly sets up that this is like um supposed to be based on magical girls and like one of the most popular magical girl series out there. So it's like signals to the audience and like newer people who might not know the genre super well that like, oh, okay, I know Sailor Moon. Like even though like I think most people who haven't like seen magical girl shows like at least know what Sailor Moon is or like of it. Um, so like the purpose that it served was just to be like a, hey, this is what it is, this is the genre that we're kind of playing with here, um, this is what to expect later, and that's like kind of the purpose that it served. But like yeah, just throwing in a Pokemon reference, I don't know like where that would fit. It wouldn't have fit in the pilot. Later on maybe, who's to say. But yeah, I don't know. I usually don't do references if I can help it, like I said, unless it's helping the story. How did you get some big VAs to be in your project? By the way, congrats on working with Jesse's VA. I know you love them. Most of them were mutuals and friends, and were just down to help me out. Yeah, Michelle, Jesse's voice actress, and I have been friends for a long time, and she's like we've been wanting to work together on something forever. She's offered to dub my comics and everything, but I didn't want her to get into legal trouble because I know Pokemon is kind of like they're very controlling and have insane contracts. So it was nice to get her on my original pilot. Um, yeah, I was talking about before, like Alex and I have been mutuals for a long time. I knew Anaris and AJ Beckles. They're both they're engaged. I've known them for like at least AJ for like quite a bit. And he was able to get me in touch with Anaris. And then Shara I've hung out with before, and then Mariev and I worked together on Big City Greens. Um, and yeah, no, a lot of them are just friends who are down to help, which is wonderful. Would you want to have Michael Kovac or any other well-known voice actors on the series? Maybe. I know Michael Kovac is like in everything. But yeah, I feel like I've been mostly going for anime voice actors, just because like I want like the idea was to make like even though it's a very cartoony show, by nature. I wanted like dub actors to like have it help it have like that kind of anime feel, like people who are experienced in um that genre. Yeah, just so it sounds like familiar, it sounds vaguely anime, but isn't completely. It's kind of like its own thing. Like I told like Anaris, like for like that opening scene especially, I was like the idea is that it sounds like as corny and like cheesy as possible to kind of like set up like, oh, it's like tropey anime kind of feel. It should feel like wow, like I'm gonna be like I'm gonna be Hokage, like but it's like I'm gonna be a normal girl, like that energy. Um, that I feel like is hard to pull off in cartoons, like authentically. But I think like with the right actors, you can kind of get it because they have like that specific like intonation that um, I feel like not all voice actors can get unless they've worked in anime before. Um, yeah, I would love to work with more, yeah, like dub actors if possible, because like I, it's so sad because like I feel like a lot of dub actors get like a lot of flack for um just because it's dubs and people like I know that's like a hot like controversial topic. It's like, oh, dubs versus subs. But like I don't know, I feel like people don't realize that like dub actors are so insanely talented and like so funny, and like a lot of them have like acting backgrounds. Um and they have like a very like unique challenge of like going off of something that already exists and like are limited by like mouth flaps and like have to be funny and like that very kind of constrained like yeah genre like type of like voice acting, you know. um but they have so much range that I feel like whenever I hear like a dub actor do like a cartoon or something, where it's like, oh, they do the voices first, or like they're not having to adhere as much to like what the like cartoon is doing and have like a little more room for improv, like they're so funny, like they're so good and so talented. So I wanted to like yeah just really highlight as much as I could how like funny these actors are, because oh my god, they're fantastic. And like I don't think dubbing gets to show that off as much just because of how it's done. It has those limitations, and I wanted to let these guys just really go crazy and uh, show what they had to offer. Question: what's your favorite shows slash anime? Oh, so many. Smiling Friends is a huge one. I've been watching Common Side Effects. That one's amazing. Little Witch Academia is one of my favorite animes of all time. Pokemon, obviously. Really loving Stugo recently. What else? Midnight Gospel. I don't know if you guys have watched that. That's on Netflix. Oh, that show's beautiful, and it's so like under the radar funny because it's like podcast style, but then it's like the visuals are insane. And that last episode made me sob harder than like any cartoon ever has before. Like it's so pretty. And then what else? Jimmy Neutron. I love Jimmy Neutron so much. I love that show. It holds up. I don't care what anybody says. Can I dip Hoshi in hot oil? Why would you do that? Not Hoshi. What did Hoshi ever do? Well, mascots get a bad rap, I guess. I feel like dub actors can do non-dub VO work, but not all non-dub VAs can do anime. Maybe I'm wrong. I think that's true. Like it's such a specific skill. Like you have to be trained in it a little bit. Like I'm not saying that they can't. Like it's just like a completely different like skill set, I think. Like an actor could learn to do it, but it is like yeah, it's hard. Where did the lead pipe idea come from? That shit was comedy. Hey, glad you think so. I mean, that's kind of the I built the whole pilot around that moment. Like, if that was like the punchline, like everything else was just like the setup for it, just to like really build up to that like anticlimax. But yeah, I mean, it's just the idea of like a magical girl being over it and just like what's the most efficient way I can do this as like possible is kind of like the idea that it came from. I think I was telling Tumblr the idea. I was going between like a lead pipe, like a crowbar, a bat, or a steel chair. I'm kind of glad I went with lead pipe though. It's so funny because then I could use the lead pipe sound effect. Did you watch Gentry Chow? I did. I have mixed feelings on it. I really liked like the art direction and like I loved what they were trying to do. Like the voice acting was great, the music was fun. It's just like the pacing of like the overall story. Like you could tell that like I don't think they were given as much time as like they wanted to tell the story. Like if they had like one more season, like I think it would have felt so good. Like it just felt like it ended pretty abruptly, which is a shame. But like otherwise, yeah, it was fun. Like I liked the characters a lot. Like I just felt like I wanted more time to get to know them and like get attached to them. But like obviously they were limited, which is unfortunate. Like I feel like that's usually the problem with a lot of shows nowadays. It's not like completely the fault of like the writers or anything. It's just kind of like the limitations and like studios not giving um, creators enough time to tell the stories that they want. Like one season is short. Like that's so little time to tell like a very ambitious story. I feel like you gotta have at least two. Um, so yeah, that was like my only gripe with it. It was just like the weird like overall pacing. But like each episode felt like really nice and like again stunning visuals. The color design in particular was like out of this world. The voice acting was really good, solid. Yeah, it's just like another victim of just short seasons and studios not really greenlighting stuff, unfortunately. I think people should stop hating on dub. They are perfectly fine with how they do their jobs, and honestly, some subs are bad in my opinion. Yeah, I mean, it's just like any other thing. Like, I do agree with like a lot of people who say like, oh, you only like subs because like you don't know what's like what it actually sounds like, and that's true. Like when you listen to something in your like and not your native language, like you can't tell like all the like subtle like differences or things that they're doing with their voices that either make it good or bad. Like you just kind of take it for what it is, which is like fine. But I don't think it should be like a reason to hate on dub actors. Because like it's like yeah, it's your native language. You're gonna pick up on all the subtleties that they're doing, and like again, it's very limited in what they can do and like how they have to record. Man, I just like I don't make it their problem. Like if you don't like a dub, that's fine. Um, Listen to the sub all you want, but I don't know. Like you can't really know unless you know both languages. Do you have any tips for writing a pilot without making it feel rushed? I've been working on something for a while, and it's so hard making it pace well. Oh, that's just kind of something that comes with trying. Like I've had a lot of experience doing it just because I work in TV and I know what like an 11 minute should kind of feel like. And I knew how many scenes is usually about like an 11 minute. I don't know. It's kind of tricky. I feel like trial and error is the best way. Like get it to like a place where Like I don't know if you're planning on doing an animatic or boarding it, but either way, like I think showing other people where you're at and like getting their feedback is always going to be helpful. Like if like you show it to them and they're like, oh, that felt fat, like truly just showing people, like getting their opinion, like and asking like, does this feel paced well to you? Yeah, getting people that you trust to look it over. Because like once you're in it for a long time, it's kind of hard to tell because you're just like reading it or watching it over and over again, and you kind of like are anticipating like all the lines that are coming up and all that kind of stuff. So like getting fresh eyes on it will always be really valuable. Are you fluent in Japanese? いやー少しだけ話せます。また練習しなければいけません. Still practicing and studying, but getting better. Yeah, 上手じゃないよ。いや、うんうん。I read that one episode of an animation takes a year at most to make. So does that mean multiple episodes are being made at the same time? Yes. It takes about um, yeah, about a year for an episode from script to like final like composing and animation and editing to be done. So everything's kind of staggered. If you look at like a production schedule, it's usually looks kind of like a staircase. Because like yeah, like for like board artists, like we get it. We have like about a month to board the whole thing, including notes and revisions and all that stuff. And then once we're done with that, we're handed off like a new episode. And as we're doing that episode for the next month, the design team is working on the previous episode we just done, or like the revisionists and like the directors and everybody are working on it until like for the next like 2 months or so before it's sent off to be animated for like 6 months. Um, so yeah, it's always like a constant cycle. すごく上手だよ。ありがとう。キアナそれとも、キアナ。キアナ。キアナ. The first one was right. Let's see. Is the show puppet animation? I'm learning puppet right now. I would depend. Like I mean, Matthew did such an amazing job with the puppet animation for the one segment in the pilot. But like I'm a sucker for 2D pencil animation. Like if I was able to, I would do that. But like I don't know, it's also cool. Like 2D puppet animation has come such like a long way, and like I feel like people need to stop shitting on it for looking cheap because like I don't think it looks cheap anymore. Like so much of it is like also just hand drawn anyway. Um, I don't know. It's just like it opens up so many more things that you can like. It doesn't have as many limits as it did before, like during the Flash days. キアナ。はい、そうです。ありがとう。Would you consider putting a character of yourself in the background of I Don't Want to Be Magical as an extra? I know sometimes show creators like hiding themselves in the background as Easter eggs. maybe. I don't know. Aika's already kind of like my stand-in a little bit. Like she's based off of like my high school self a little bit. At least like kind of what I looked like a lanky little 15-year-old. um, and like she's Japanese and black like myself. So I don't know. Maybe I would put myself in the background at some point. Like I have a little version of me in Big City Greens. I think most of people like storyboard artists on Big City Greens have our little insids. Was blown away when I learned Hilda was puppet animation. Oh my god, yeah, it's stunning. R.I.P. Flash. What sort of franchise would you like to work on? MLP maybe or anything else? You mean like existing IP? Um, My Little Pony would be cool. Pokemon for sure. Oh, Jimmy Neutron. I would love to get my hands on Jimmy Neutron. Sorry, I'm catching up with chat. Oh god, kanji. Can I read that?成長期にディズニー映画を見ましたか？あ、はいはい。たくさんディズニームービー見ました。好きなディズニームービーが、Lion King. I grew up with Lion King. Um, that was my favorite when I was a kid. What else? そうなんていうか。うーん。ディズニーとピクサー。or just Disney. Because I like both. Oh, Lilo and Stitch. Yeah, Lilo and Stitch ね。あ、とってもいいですよ。Sorry, I'm really bad at reading kanji. I need to practice. I think I read that right though. 成長期に It's like growing up, right? I like how swearing in the pilot was funny, not ultra excessive. I think some adult shows can go about overboard with adult themes to the point of being childish. Yeah, I mean it depends. Like I do think swearing is funny. Yeah, I like to try and use it sparingly. Because like I don't know. I actually never swore. Like I actively tried not swearing in high school at all until I went to college. But I don't know. Like if you could get like a good like swear word just to like punctuate something, I think it could be hilarious. But yeah, it's all about finding the balance, I think. Have you seen Lolly Rock? I've seen some of it. I'm not super familiar with it, but like it looks cute, and I've seen like I think I've maybe seen like an episode or two here and there. I know there's like a brother sister duo that kind of have like Team Rocket energy that I really like. Do you try doing different styles, like drawing styles? Yeah. No, I like going really cartoony. I like the kind of in between anime cartoon, and then I could go full anime also. Yeah, depends on the mood I'm in. Um, yeah, when I like for this pilot, I definitely went more just kind of like my go to style, just because like I knew I wasn't gonna have a lot of time to board it, so I wanted to make it in a style that was gonna be easy for me to draw really quickly. um, I feel like I've been thinking about this. If it gets picked up by a bigger studio, like I'm trying to think what I would change about the designs. Like, if I could go for like a slightly more anime look, I think I would. But like that would all depend on like budget and all that kind of stuff and what we could get away with. And because like the worst possible thing I think you can do is like try to make like really complicated designs or like really anime looking designs and not have the budget for it, because then it just looks weird and kind of uncanny. Like unless you have like a Avatar budget or like an actual like anime budget, like you're gonna notice like the cut corners. It's like a little less noticeable when you do like really cartoony stuff. So like the main thing is just like I would want it to look good, and like I want the designs to reflect like the budget or make it like so that the designs won't make it insanely hard to work with within the budget, you know? Help, is that twice? Yeah, it is. I love Twice. I've been listening to like strategy so much. I've been to like 6 of their concerts in like since 2022, I think was the first one. So we've been a lot. We double up on their concerts. Favorite songs you have of theirs? I mean, Strategy is banger. Um, I like Dive also. Don't wait up, don't hold back. Now you can dive into me. I love that song. I Got You. What is Love? Classic. They have such like just an insane like discography. They're so good. Was Zero be a once? 1,000%. Did you sing the ending song? Nope. That was my friend Tasha from high school. I think the character should look a bit more mature, in my opinion. I like maybe like it's such like a tricky thing. Like I think maybe I would make them look older, but also like I don't know. I feel like people have such a warped perspective of like what teenagers look like nowadays. Because like I look back at like pictures of myself as like a 14, 15-year-old, and I'm like, who is that? That is an infant. Um, Especially as like a black like Asian. Like I feel like Asian um teenagers and like especially women and like I mean just in general Asians usually look pretty young. So I went to like a primarily Asian school, so like a lot of us look like tiny. um so it's like I don't know, it's kind of tricky. Like I don't know how much of it is like uh, I would maybe age them up, like make them look a little bit older, but like at the same time that is just kind of what teenagers look like in my opinion, at least. I don't know. And like some people have been like weird about it where they're like, why don't these 15-year-olds have boobs? And it's like, why do you want the 15-year-olds to have boobs? Like, I don't know. It just doesn't matter to me that much. I don't know. I didn't really have boobs when I was 14, 15. Um, it's just like the way people are approaching me about that is kind of like weird. Um, where I'm like, well, no, fuck you. Like, I'm gonna make them look like actual teenagers, or like what I look like. Me and my friends look like as teenagers, you know. Um, I don't know. It's just like in media, especially. I think it's like in most like Disney Channel shows growing up. I feel like they always cast like 20-year-olds to play like freshmen in high school, and like it just sets like this really weird precedent of like, oh, I'm supposed to look like this as like a 14-year-old girl, like just like fresh out of middle school, and I'm like, no, that's not like what we really look like though. And like in anime too, I feel like that happens a lot where um yeah, the characters look much older than they actually are, and then like over time people have just kind of been like, oh, this is what a 15-year-old girl looks like, and it's like, well, no. um I don't know, and it's kind of become that issue of like, oh, when people draw like not safe for work stuff of like these characters, it's like, oh, well, they don't look like teenagers, and it's like, well, still teen. Like it's just like a weird. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it yet, or like if I would super change anything about it. Like I'm thinking far ahead. Like it's not like I would have to. Um, it would depend on what. Like if I do get picked up by a studio, what they would want. What the budget allows and stuff like that. But yeah, I don't know. I think like to me they look like teenagers, or like whenever I see teenagers, like I have like a lot of younger cousins who are teenagers now, and I'm like, you guys look so tiny. You're so small. Um, yeah, I just think people have kind of had like a warped perspective of what teenage girls look like nowadays. And then it's also like hard because like I haven't like compared them to like any younger characters. Like if like I were to introduce like a actual character in middle school, like they would obviously look different. Because even like Devoid and Miss, like they're pretty like squashed in like proportions. Like they're not like obviously you can tell they're adults, but like the style itself is like leaning more into like chibi kind of look. Like I was really looking at like Astro Boy and Doremi and like Panty and Stocking for kind of like the style. So I went like a little more chibi-ish in that way. But yeah, it would depend. Oh, sorry guys, my girlfriend is texting me. She is driving. Why is she texting me? Maybe she stopped, did a pit stop. When's the show coming out, sis? I don't know. We'll see. I wasn't planning on doing more, but here we are. I think the characters look perfect. It's pointless to think about their age and body. Like, what? That doesn't change anything important. Yeah, mm, it depends. I could see, like, why, like, people would want me to change it. It's just, like, I feel like a lot of the, like, criticism around that has been, like, it feels weird. Like, I get weird vibes from whenever I get uh, that comment. I'm like, why do you want to look them to look so much older? And then like again, it's just based off of like what I look like in high school. I was so small. And also like yeah, surrounded primarily by other like um other Asians, and I feel like we skew younger looking um for the most part. Do you have other ideas for shows in your head other than I don't want to be a magical girl? Your stuff is great as always. Thank you. kind of like I pitched 3 shows recently to a streaming service. They reached out and asked if I wanted to pitch stuff. So I did that like last month. Um, I don't know if those will go anywhere. I did those just kind of for fun. Um, and yeah, I have no idea where it'll go, but hopefully, yeah, I'll get to see where that leads soon. Um, but yeah, very exciting. I've pitched a couple times now. Um, one for like an existing IP, or like three. Like it was another situation where it's just like pitch a bunch of things to like this one company. So I pitched like 3 ideas for like an existing IP, and got to work on it briefly. But I think the whole project ended up getting canned. Sadly, it was an IP that I really liked too. So I was like, oh, such a bummer. But hopefully they do more. And then yeah, this other one was also super fun, a little more low key. Um, yeah, it was sick. It was just like a good exercise in yeah, just coming up with ideas and making just like funny premises and stuff like that, which yeah, I haven't done a whole lot of, clearly, mostly fan art. You know, look at my man, shoot up, shoot up. Iconic. Do you think like I would have a sibling since she's kind of based off of you? That'd be funny. I considered it, but yeah, I think like it's gonna be an only child. But then I have thought about if Zira is gonna have siblings or not. I've been going between either like one little sister or like 2 little brothers or something. But yeah, I don't know. Something about like Zira gives me like oldest sibling vibes. And I just like love the idea of her like having to be an older sibling and like putting her in that situation. Does Ika get taller in magical girl form, or is she still the same height, or is it just the boots? It's just the boots. Um, yeah, if you look at like her height chart, if you like take out the like platform part, like she's the same height. What is it like to pitch a show, and what are the steps processes of doing so? It's different for every place. Like for the 2 that I did, like they reached out to me being like, "Hey, this is what we're looking for. Can you come up with like 3 to 5 ideas and send it our way?" And then I would just draw, like make like a small, not quite a pitch bible, but just like explaining what the story is and like who the characters are, and then yeah, send it to them in like PDF form, and then for the first one I pitched. I haven't pitched for the second one yet. I just sent it. I think they're gonna have me pitch it, but I'm still waiting to hear back for when to schedule that. Yeah, that's more or less a pitch. I feel like you could pitch with pretty much anything. Um, like whether it's like the premise and like kind of the storyboard, or like I know some people pitch with scripts. And then yeah, that's all there is to the pitching part. The hard part is the development process, where like after they decide like, oh, we like your idea, let's move forward with it, but not quite greenlight it yet. Um, that's when it's like usually like a 4-year process at least to kind of get it going and like slowly bring people on board and make sure it lines with like the network and all that fun stuff. It's not fun. I've watched so many of my friends go through it only for like their stuff to just be dropped because studios don't know what they want. Yeah, it's rough out there. But pitching's fun. Very low stakes, just kind of whatever. Just when you pitch, make sure you're protected and like know what your contract says, because like sometimes if you pitch, like they could own your ideas, and you won't be able to pitch them anywhere else. I feel like that usually comes in at development, but like if you're signing anything, um, make sure you have your rights and keep your ideas and keep them as your own. How much are you planning to have Miss be a positive influence on Aika? It's more so the other way around, honestly. I think Aika's the good influence on Miss. Is the pilot for the show gonna get fully animated at some point, or is it gonna stay as the concept that begins the actual series? Um, yeah, I mean, I don't see a point in animating the whole pilot. Like, it would just be to make it look cool, I guess. But like, I already got the idea out there, um, and yeah, I don't know. It's like I got what I wanted out of it. Um, like out of making the pilot as it is. It's like a good proof of concept. I don't see the point in really just redoing the same idea but with like color, since it's already out there. Um, yeah. Hi, I just discovered your pilot the other day, but you've already become such a huge inspo. Sorry if you've already been asked, but any advice for people wanting to create an animated series? Thank you, Maya. I appreciate it. Welcome. Um, any advice? I don't know. Just do what you want, really. Like, it's hard to make stuff, like, make animated stuff. So, doing something that you're really passionate about and, like, will stick with is super important. Because, like, if you're making something that you just, like, kind of feel 50-50 on, like, chances are you're not going to want to stick with it as long as the animation project, like, process takes. Um, So yeah, do something that you really enjoy. Make it self-indulgent. Make it fun for you. Find different ways to make it fun for you. Like for me, that was working with my friends and working with cool voice actors that I've admired for a long time, and like, um, it was just like good motivation for me to like want to keep it going for them. But then also the idea is something that um, I ended up really liking and wanting to share with the world and was excited to share. But yeah, hopefully it feels like kind of general advice, but I hope that it rings true for you. Chad, hello! Congrats on the success of the pilot dog. Thank you, friend. Yeah, insane. Man, I hope you've been doing well. I haven't seen you in a while, other than like on the internet. But yeah, I've seen like some of your work that you've been posting. It's so good. You're always crushing it. Any cutscenes that didn't make the cut for the finished pilot? Nope. Again, I said this at the very beginning of the stream. My first draft was my final draft. I wrote the pilot in a day and just kind of went because I was on a time crunch of getting it done within my hiatus period. Because like I didn't want to have to do work and then also be working on this at the same time. Um, So yeah, everything that was in my initial pilot draft pretty much made it all the way to the end. There was no cutscenes or anything. I am in misery. Ain't nobody can me. Is the pilot considered episode one? Yes, I intended it to feel like a uh, an episode one, or like the start of the whole thing, and like how the characters meet and everything. But yeah, not all pilots do that. For those who don't know, some pilots start kind of like either like episode two or like well into the series, just so like when it's being pitched around, like whoever's you're pitching to can kind of get an idea of what like the general um, show would feel like, because like what we were talking about, the first episodes are always tricky because then you can't like you're doing like a lot of setup and not really focusing on the characters as much themselves, or like it's a harder balance to do. um, but yeah, there's some people do pilots, like I think for Big City Greens, like Welcome Home is the first episode where like it shows like how the characters get to the city, and like kind of sets up like the first time they're in, like they move from the country to the city. But then the actual pilot episode was Space Chicken, which introduces like Remy, and then like kind of establishes like Cricket's relationship with him, and like you get a better idea of like Cricket and Tilly's relationship, and then also how like Bill's role in the whole thing. So yeah, it depends on like what you want to do. um, I wanted to do an episode one just because like my brain works better that way. Like I like setting up stuff and like working off of that versus like kind of starting in the middle and branching out. Um, so yeah, that was like again, it was just for me, so it didn't really. I didn't have the foresight for like, oh, I need to make sure I make this feel like the rest of the series. It was just for fun, and I wanted to try my hand at an episode one. Do you think going to an arts college will help me get into this line of work easier? Is it worth it? It depends. Like, it's so hard to give advice for this because, like, I did go to art college, but I did drop out. So, like, the degree itself didn't really help me. But, like, it's hard to say, like, right, like, in hindsight, like, what did help me or not. Like, I learned a lot in school. Was it worth the amount of money that I spent going to school? I don't know. I feel like a lot of the stuff I learned, I could have learned in, like, a workshop, or just, like, asking people online or finding other resources. But through school, I also was able to go to Pixar, and I learned a lot of storyboarding basics. They gave me like a good foundation. But then it's like, oh yeah, could I have learned that on my own? Maybe. So yeah, it depends on what kind of person you are. I feel like it's like if you have zero experience drawing, like it might be good for you to get that like foundation. If you don't have like a lot of connections, that's like college is also good for that. For like what we were talking about earlier, of like um, working laterally with like your peers and like meeting people. Yeah, kind of on the same level as you, doing interested in doing the same stuff as you. Um, but yeah, like if you have the money to do so, I don't like. I think that's great. And like if you don't, like if it's gonna break the bank for you to go to art school, I would say don't though. Don't spend that much money on art school. You can very easily like do workshops, which would be much cheaper and like more specific to what you're looking for. um, there's also so many free resources that like a lot of board artists will, or like I don't know if you're doing boarding specifically, but like other artists who like put like their own work out there for people to look at other people's portfolios and see what they're kind of doing. You can learn a lot just from doing that. Yeah, depends. Is Mr. Void into girls? Yeah. Later, Kiana. Gotta go eat, sleep, and wake up in time for work tomorrow. Congrats again on the pilot. Thank you, Jax. I love you. Thank you for your support as always. That was a while ago. You're probably not here anymore, but I appreciate you. I love watching your animation. I felt the roughness fit in so well with the personality. It's so nice to see ideas that are just pushed out, just raw and fresh emotions. Yeah, I mean that was the idea. Like, I'm not that great at animation. Like I can do it, but like it takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of money and effort, and like my past 6 years of industry experience has been storyboarding. So I felt like my work was better presented through storyboards, and it would get my idea across even better than if it was animated. Um, who was I was talking about this with my one of our executives on Big City Greens. She was also talking about like, wow, it's really cool that you did like an animatic, and I was like, yeah, I it's kind of like sad to see that like a lot of young artists feel like if they're gonna make a pilot, it has to be fully animated, because yeah, it's really expensive. It takes a whole lot of time, um, and it's hard. And I feel like you'll kind of learn this when you're like making portfolios and stuff, or like if you take like portfolio classes or anything, they like will always tell you play to your strengths. Like whenever we talk, like I give advice to people about like making a portfolio, like a storyboarding portfolio, and they have like an animatic. I'm like, don't have an animatic. Don't put that in. Like if you edited it yourself, like unless you have like a professional editor, do not do an animatic if you can help it, because then I don't think what people realize is that like if I'm hiring you for storyboards, I want to look at your boards, but if I'm watching it as an animatic, like I'm subconsciously looking at your editing also, and if your editing isn't as strong, um, it's going to take away from like how I perceive your boards, you know. um, Even if I'm like aware of it, like it's just like how your brain processes information. And I think it's the same thing with like indie pilots too. Like if the animation isn't like up to snuff, then it's kind of like, oh, there's more to like critique, you know, like, oh, like this artist forgot to like fill in this color here, like, oh, the compositing looks weird here, or like there's just like more to pick out on. I feel like people are more forgiving of like animatics, and like, oh, it's like it's unfinished, so I'm just gonna take it for what it is, and like like you're getting the idea across, but then also you're kind of listening to like the story more, and the like the writing and like the dialogue, and like not getting too hung up on like if there's wonky animation, which there would have been because like I can't animate that great. So it just felt smarter for me to play to my strengths and really just yeah do a storyboard animatic. But I hope people realize that they can get their ideas across in that way, and they don't need to do like yeah insane animation for their ideas to be put out there and to be heard. It's also like keeping the momentum up for that long too. Like I've noticed that like a lot of indie projects will like announce that they're like doing their Kickstarter or whatever, but then like we'll have to take like 4 years to animate the whole thing, right? But then and then keeping up like hype and momentum for your project is really hard, because then you're having to do like so much extra stuff on the side, um like for this I was able to manage it pretty well, and like oh like do comics and like other stuff on the side to keep people thinking about the characters, or at least like keep them in the what do you call it, the public consciousness or whatever that's called. Or like oh they're coming soon, like in a few months, like, and I was able to consistently keep that up. But then I feel like with animation, like there's projects where it's like oh they announce it, and then it's like, okay, like, oh, this looks so cool, I'm so hyped for it, but then like they're working so hard on like animating over years that like they're not able to keep people interested for that long. And then people end up forgetting about it, or like not following the project all the way through. So it's like, I don't know, I don't want to encourage people to like rush stuff, but also it is like, I think it is important to like, yeah, just like purely from a marketing like perspective, it's like, yeah, keep up like hype and have like the momentum. um and yeah, I feel like that's important, and I think that was part of why the like my animatic did as well as it did, is because there was already people like watching it, or like keeping an eye out for it for like such a like, or like it wasn't like too long where I lost people's interest, you know. Is submitting an animatic to an animation uni portfolio a yay or a nay? Well, I mean, if it's for school, I don't think it'll be that big of a deal. But then, like, for if you're doing it professionally, like to a big studio, I would have, like, if it's for storyboarding, I wouldn't do an animatic if you can avoid it. Originally, when I went to follow your account on Insta, I thought you were Kiana from Smosh because some of the Smosh members are follow you, so I was confused. LMAO. Yeah, I feel like I've gotten that a lot. Like whenever I go into like Tommy chat, or like comments on his stuff, or like with Damien, because Damien and I are friends, people are like, "Oh, Kiana from Smosh." I'm like, "No, different Kiana, very different Kiana." Would you ever make your own animation studio? Is that all at all feasible idea for animators in the US? Oh man. I mean, it's feasible, but like I'm not going to be the one to do it. That's a lot of work. Unrelated, but Kiana is also my aunt's name. Hey, Kiana's rule the world. It's so funny. In the future, will you not allow some fan theories and I don't want to be magical girl, since sometimes fans or the creator will get a bit crazy and stuff? I'm not sure what you mean by this. Like, I mean, like people can theorize all they want. I encourage it. I think it's cool that people are engaging with my work in that way. I do think if I do go the studio route, I will probably have to pull back on my social media presence, which like I think most creators do. Just like one, it's stressful to see that all the time. Um, like even now, like I'm currently like trying not to like work myself up overseeing like so many opinions on the pilot. And then even more so, like if it were to become a bigger thing, I would want to pull back on that a little bit. And then also legally, I know that that's sometimes a thing, at least with fan fiction. Um, so I would probably take a step back from social media, which is crazy to think about. I would, oh my god, that would make me so happy, honestly. I social media is so much, and I've been on it for such a long time. Like imagine being free and unburdened by Twitter. um yeah, insane. When making a portfolio storyboarding, do you have to do original work, or can you storyboard scenes from existing IPs in your own way? What's your advice on making sure your portfolio is polished? Yeah, I mean, I don't mind seeing fan work in uh, portfolios personally, because I mean, if you're working for somebody like that is more or less glorified fan art, like existing IP, like so it is cool. Like it is cool to see, or like nice to see that like you could take an existing idea and like yeah, board like do your own take on it in like board form or like match style. I think is really important. But there are a lot of benefits to having like a like original piece in your portfolio that will show like yeah, this is like straight from my brain. This is the kind of person I am. This is the kind of ideas that I come with. This is my sense of humor. Yeah, I think there's pros and cons to both. But the nice thing is you can have both in a portfolio. Why do you like Jesse from Team Rocket so much? Oh my god, don't even get me started. Um, this might be the last question I answer. I'm probably gonna head out and talk to my girlfriend because she just got back home. Um, yeah, I love Jessie so much because she was one of the I guess first villains that I saw that had like a very how do I want to say this like mm, she's like one of the more complex villains that I'd seen as like a child. Like I didn't watch like a whole lot as a kid, but that was my first time being like, oh, a villain with depth and a backstory. Like I think it was Pokemon like Crossing Paths. It's the one where Jessie releases her dust talks. And I was like, oh my gosh, she has a heart. That's crazy. Like I thought she was just like this vain character. Um, but then like through that I kind of like Googled her and like learned more and I learned that like, oh, she has like a tragic backstory with like her mom used to be in Team Rocket and like left her to be in foster care and never came back because she went missing on a mission and then Jessie kind of had to like yeah, like grow up in foster care and fend for herself and just like nothing really worked out for her, whether it was going to nursing school or being like a professional trainer, like just so many odd jobs and it just never worked for her. But then like Team Rocket was like the one thing that she was really good at initially. And it's just like, oh, like it's just like a good lesson in like good people can end up in like bad circumstances, I guess. I don't know. That was like it was like the first time I really done like an in depth dive on like a character, and that, it like really stuck with me, and it like made me like see just villains in general in a different way. I'm like, oh, what's their backstory? Like, it was just like it was basically just me being like, oh, writing character writing, like this is so cool. Um, but it was yeah, just very formative to like my writing experience and what I like look like what I look for in characters that I enjoy. Um, yeah, just like the layers, and like not seeing or like not writing characters as like one dimensional, and like in a subtle way too, because like they never like in the show they never really address it like other than in like little bits here and there, and like yeah, they never like spell it out for you, which is I think really cool. As much as like as a kid, I wanted like, oh, I want Jessie's mom episode. I want to know all her lore and backstory. But like, I don't know. There's something cool about that being her backstory. But then like in the anime, it's still like there's little things here and there that like clue you into like the fact that she was in foster care or grew up poor or yeah, like lived like so many different lives before she found what she was good at. And then yeah, I don't know, it's just really cool. And then also like just as a character, like as she is in the show, I think it's so funny that yeah, she's like a silly, goofy character. She presents herself as like a girl boss, but like genuinely also doesn't know what she's doing most of the time. Um, and yeah, has her moments of softness, but also is kind of the worst. I love characters that are kind of the worst. That yeah, she's such like a good character in my opinion. Underrated character. I feel like she's very like misunderstood in like several ways. Like in the show, like most of the characters see her as one way. When she's not, like, there's a lot more to her. But then like also in fandom, I feel like people often like, oh, she's like the girl boss, like badass, like James is her male wife kind of thing. And it's like, no, they're both dumb and silly, and like that's okay. Like I love that she's able to be goofy like that. I don't know. Yeah, just more goofy women. I don't know. I love a goofy woman. Um, but yeah, no, she's a character that yeah really means a lot to me, and her and like just Team Rocket in general, I feel like have really influenced how I look at character and character writing and how I go about telling stories and doing story in like subtle ways rather than being like too upfront about stuff. And like creating intrigue and stuff like that. But yeah, no, she's a great character, and I could gush about her for hours. I can write a think piece, essay, thesis on her. um, yeah, she's like everything to me. It's crazy that I haven't drawn her in like 6 months because I'm getting like withdrawals. I need to draw her again. But yeah, I guess we'll end it on that. I think that's a funny way to to end the stream, where I was talking about my project and go back to my roots for a minute. Um, but yeah, no, this is great. I know people are telling me to save stream. I don't know how to do that. I'm assuming that like it will hopefully save. I didn't see a setting or anything while I was setting it up that said that it wouldn't. Um, so hopefully it'll be there. I'm so sorry if it doesn't. But okay, YouTube save streams automatically. Okay, cool. Yeah, hopefully if I end this, it'll just go straight to like that live tab. Um, but yeah, this was really cool. I hope you guys got like something out of this. And that it was like cool to hear my process a little bit, or more about the characters and what I'm up to and whatnot. But again, thank you so much for watching my pilot and hanging out with me for 3.5 hours and asking questions. Yeah, I've been really like truly feeling the love for this past week. This project grew into something I didn't think it would, and reach so many more people than I thought. And yeah, it means a lot to me. I have always been very afraid to share my original ideas, just because like I've never really believed in myself in that way. So I appreciate you guys for believing in me for me. Um, it's yeah definitely boosted my confidence and has made me want to do and like pursue more original work and yeah, do stuff that means a lot to me and not to be afraid to do that. But yeah, thank you guys. We'll have to do this again sometime. I didn't realize how easy it was to stream on YouTube like this, so yeah, maybe we'll do another Q&A sometime. But in the meantime, I will be doing like a million podcasts this month, so you'll see those popping up. So keep an eye out, and I will be posting more um, voice actor outtakes on this channel. Please listen to them because they're so funny. And yeah, just keep in touch on Twitter, socials, Blue Sky, everywhere. I'm on pretty much everything. You'll see me around. But yeah, thank you guys. Have a good night.